It should be there.
You might want to say something in chat or something.
Something in chat.
Yeah, I did. Okay, hold on. Right now we've got like a partial screen. We are streaming.
Yeah, it's back. I just got to get the graphics and stuff.
Yeah, we're back. All right, everybody, we're gonna have to figure this shit out. You know, Drayden crashed the fuck out. Apparently, his whole thing shut the fuck down. So we put him on the bench, and now drunk Canadian's coming in like a backup Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. So there he is. Although apparently Drayden will be back next year.
Yeah,
regardless.
Real talk.
And Drake will get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Played against what's his name? Eagles head coach Doug. Fuck, I should know him.
Peterson.
Yeah, Doug Peterson played him in high school.
Did you really?
He coached Evangel like 8 years ago. He's fucking rocketed up. He was the Evangel head coach in Louisiana like 8 or 9 years ago. Oh shit, it's been longer than that since I was in high school. Dude, let's talk about some depressing shit for a little bit. So I think it's been like 10 years now. But yeah, 10 years ago he was coaching Evangel. Then he went to
Wait, is this Eve related?
No, it's not at all.
Okay.
I played against his younger brother and buried him into
then
the
he was a
turf in the fucking
KC
All-Star
offensive
game.
coordinator. Now he's the Eagles head coach. It all took like 10 years, and now he's a Super Bowl champion.
See, there you go, perseverance. But
yeah.
Anyways, okay. So getting back, I think we were talking about fucking the retirement of Eve Voice. Oh no. Actually, I think when we got killed, that was just me, like you know, kind of thanking CCP Darwin for correcting me about being wrong about high sec loot mechanics, which I got to be honest. Okay, there are a number of things I'm typically wrong about, like on this show over the course of like a show or a year or anything like that. Being wrong about the high sec loot mechanics didn't matter. But that being said, yeah, the Gila in my Guardian Gila is something that I will forever cherish. I will forever cherish all of the accelerators that I ended up getting and the skins and things like that, but I probably won't be back to one of those things in a while. I did have a couple of things. I did give that guy that I talked about last week 500 million ISK. I also had a dude come in a Talwar and think that 0.5 space was low sec and shoot me and get concorded, and I paid for his Talwar. So I was one of the nice people there, not a stinking savage, but whatever. Jin, my understanding is that you put something out on Reddit this week that described your leaving an organization that was in the throes of space violence.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess now's probably a good time to like actually announce it, but I will be, as of probably this weekend, a member of Test Alliance. Please ignore.
Tappy, tappy, tappy.
Hey.
Woo.
You sound so excited, Jin.
Yeah, really.
I am actually genuinely excited. It's gonna be fun.
Are you?
Yeah, no. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're the most hardened military force in EVE Online.
Oh.
And other top quality memes that, Test says unironically, everyone memes about it and then they just start using it unironically again. It's just like,
yeah,
awesome.
I did a poll today whether it's Test or Tappy. Test actually won to my surprise, but we're gonna hard enforce Tappy.
That whole Tappy thing is kind of all right. Like we almost need like a year of Tappy just to kind of like wring the Test out of things.
So I'm writing like an alliance update or whatever you call it for tomorrow, and the main, like the meme at the top is gonna be, I have the picture here, I'll show it to you, maybe you can go on. It's gonna be Tappinatus instead of Cincinnatus.
Tappinatus.
Where is it? Here we go. Who do I link it to? I'll put it down there.
Yeah, throw it in there. Somebody can throw it out into the thing.
I can't say anything. Here, I'll put it in the Twitch.
Well, what is it? So I
could put it in a Twitch. Am I banned? What is this shit?
Oh, what?
You can't post links.
Oh, you can't link. Oh,
okay.
Why did it? Pro God.
What?
Post it in TeamSpeak and then
Where
Dirk
did
will
do
post
it?
it
Like,
for you.
I can't, since you don't have permission.
Well, post it in the on-air channel, not the server channel.
Yeah, on air.
Yeah.
Post it.
No permission.
I guess he's not in the Skype.
Hold on, let me.
No, for God's sakes. The fucking technical difficulties.
I poked it to Trunk. No, I can't poke anybody either. Insufficient.
DM it to me on
Hold on,
fucking
hold on.
Discord. And I'll
So while
DM
they're
it to
figuring
fucking
that shit
Dirk.
out, so that he can post that. Jim,
I'm gonna Discord it to you.
There,
let me
there.
let
Now
me
you
get
have
back to
roles,
let me get
just
back
post
to
it.
how was it exactly that you chose
There we go.
the Tappy
I did
Test
it.
area of space? You know, over I don't know. Over you and Apothny going off on your own and being the young guns of Eve to start something new.
That would actually be pretty sick. But at the end of the day, Apothny's busy. I'm like trying to kind of take a step back. You know, the war that we just had in Providence didn't go well for me. I'm looking to
My chair's
kind
on
of
a scratch
learn
post,
more and
asshole.
try and improve what I can do in the future.
Scooter
Basically,
subbed. Sorry, Jim.
Scooter McCabe, 28 months in a row. Thank you.
Hey.
I feel like INN just got scammed by him subbing for 28 months. It's like, do you think INN actually gets that money, or does he like pull it back like later on tonight?
All right, sorry, Jin. Go on.
I've completely lost my train of thought now.
No,
You were talking
train of thought
about-
was you were with an organization that you don't think kind of stood up under. Let's be honest here, okay? The kind of withering pressure that something like a PL can bring to the equation, all right? Which would not have been the first time that Pravi didn't kind of hold out under circumstances
They
similar
were
to
doing
that.
fine against PLs when NC Dot got involved too.
Well, okay, yeah, but in for a penny, in for a pound, right? I mean, you know, these are the things that end up coming out. However, so now what? You're going, in a way, and don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with this because it's exactly what I did when I was in an area that came under PL and NC dot pressure back in the day. Okay, was I said, fuck this shit. I'm going to go to an organization that's at least on the same kind of footing.
No, it's not.
Who did you join?
I ended up joining TNT, which at that point was CFC, but
So you don't feel like a quitter?
mm-mm.
I don't know.
No. Because I mean, look. The game is what the game is. The world is what the world is, and that is just, you know what? Blocks are blocks, and they're going to form, and you need to be able to.
How did you feel when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors?
I did not actually have a
What
distinct
alliance
view
is
on
that?
that.
Oh my God, Rain, please! It's sports ball.
It's sports ball.
It's
Even
sports
even
ball?
I'm English.
Is that like
I've
the
never
alliance
fucking...
tournament?
I'm lighting
Yeah,
the candle
sure.
on my cupcake.
Anyway,
Wait, we have
fucking
cupcakes.
hell.
Everyone, show the cupcake you got for Dirk's birthday.
Oh my God, can I at least finish my story now that I am
Yes,
remembering
yes,
what the
yes.
fuck I was talking about?
That's what I was trying to do.
I don't
was just
have a
trying to
cup-
keep us quiet.
Okay, so like anyone who knows me or has like discussed Providence with me knows that I've never been a huge fan of the way it was led. I just love the people there. You know, I have a really good corp that I enjoy being with in Providence. A lot of friends there. I've done a lot of work in the region, and I'm just attached to it in that way. But I'd already made my decision to leave CVA around 7 months before this. Any part of the Providence leadership team who was there at the start of the war, you know, I literally told them, you know, I'm out after this war. I'm here for this run, but no further. And fundamentally,
Is the war over?
from my perspective, the part of the war that I will have any effect in, which is the large scale part of the war, is over for Providence. Like, there's a good chance that they make a stand here, maybe like this weekend or next weekend. But if that doesn't happen, then Providence probably just goes back to its roots and is doing blopsing and bombers and just stuff like that all day, every day.
You've got to wait. All right, I'm going to be honest. Just from past experience, you've got to wait until they actually go to low sec and then you leave. Like once the war is over.
Just
We already are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
We only have like.
I thought that was I thought that was only like, get the shit out you don't care about kind of a thing.
No. Right now
Or you
we
care
have
about,
like
but, like-
1 capital's worth of like ships just in FTechY and 3D.
Drayden, give away another billion plus a billion.
Click on my link down there every time you open Teams.
I'm doing a shot. You know what? Good luck to you, Jin. You know what? Best
You're a
wishes. I think that Tappy or Test or whatever they're calling themselves is going to pick up a bit of a workhorse there. So
We are happy to have Jintan. It's
Yay.
great. He'll be a good member.
Yeah.
Drunk. I'm learning a lot about how to set up a stream right now. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, this is pretty cool.
I think I'm done. I think it's good now.
All right.
I mean-
So, anyways, that's all the little stuff. We're about 10 minutes later on getting done with that than I thought we would be. So I want to get. I do want to get into tonight's kind of sort of the meat of things. I'm going to start off with the little things because they're little and we can get them the fuck out of the way. Which actually one of them is like little things, and let me go find that.
Is that the Logi stuff? Like ship type and broadcast, you can be like, "Wow, you fucking idiot frigate pilot! I'm so glad you broadcasted for our battleship fleet. I'm not gonna rep you."
Not
Oh, yeah, that's
not
good.
everything needs to be a big giant change like we're going to be talking about here in a little while. Some things can actually be little things, and that's one of the things that CCP Karker and the people that she work with have been dealing with for quite some time. And when they come out with some of these little things, you sit there and go, okay, whatever, like literally it's so fucking little that it almost doesn't even matter. But here, kind of the first three things really caught, I think, everybody's eye. There's probably about 15 of these things in there, but the first three I think really covers it. Color coding in fleet watch list windows, which is really kind of cool because now you can sit there and I want to give this color to my recons, I want to give this color to my FCs, I want to give this color to my buddy over here who I want to make sure lives. Like,
Hilarious.
that's kind of cool. And then you've got targeting bracket on fleet mates is purple, the fleet color in parentheses for those people who didn't know, rather than yellow. So therefore, if you get targeted by a fleet mate, they'll be flashy purple, which is kind of cool because at least then you don't target them back, kill them, and go, oh shit, sorry. And then texts for broadcast for reps will now include what ship type the broadcast came from. So for those of you out in Logi land, when you are there with a main fleet and shit like that, and some scrub ass freaking broadcast because his Condor is getting freaking primaried, you can ignore that shit, right?
And the most important two are the next two. Much better than the first three.
Fleet tags are now displayed on the targets in the target bar.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's massive. And most important though is being able to remove fleet tags by far. The most
And being
important
able to
change.
remove fleet tags, yeah. I mean, that was always a little crazy. That it was like, oh shit, I didn't mean to. Oh fuck it. All right, everybody ignore that one.
Yeah. Well, it's such an important in the current meta of having to be able to clear fighters as fast as possible. Tagging. If your fleet's not tagging, you're doing it wrong.
But
Just my 2 cents.
There are a number of things that are in here, but again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, look, at least there are some of these little things that are going on up there, and every once in a while, that they're actually. I knew fucking Logi pilots that were like freaking out, going, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing fucking ever!" I mean, like, well, not ever, but.
I just want to say, I don't agree with when you said that some of the little things don't matter. It's really hard for some to find things in this game that are little things, and they do affect a lot of people. And Karka has done a lot of good work over the last 4 years finding those lists and getting them from players. So
No, I'm not
just
saying
certain gems.
the little things overall don't matter. I'm saying that on any given little things sort of release, right? You may look at that and you may look at the entire list and say, wow, a lot of those things are really so little that I'm not really paying attention to it. Maybe there's one in there or something like that. Here, there were a number of things I think that right off the bat affected kind of a wide swath of people out there. And were sort of noticeable, even though they are little things.
She's done some really good work with fleet and fleet management too over the last year or so. So I really applaud what her and her team is doing.
I mean, there's one way down at the bottom that, a lot of people may think is worthless or whatever. Right-click options have been categorized as potentially. The right-click options that have been categorized as potentially especially destructive will now have a red exclamation point in front of them. Among other things, we hope this helps to make it easier to differentiate between reprocess and repackage. And I'm going to be honest, who does not hesitate every time you go to reprocess something or repackage something? over either one of those
I
things.
do that every time.
I-
Every single time.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
just
you
like,
just it's
I've
ingrained
had
in
a
your head to
nightmare.
Yeah.
pause.
It's the
I had a
worst when you're,
nightmare
like,
once that I
drinking or
did
you're
that.
super tired or something, and you're just like not really paying attention.
That was one of the few things I didn't take
Yeah.
off. Like it's like it gives you the warning, like, "You sure you want to do this?" And you can check, like, "Don't show me this again." I left that on
Isn't
those
rename
just in
also
case
near
I
there,
hit the
too?
wrong thing. So I'm like, "Wait, do I? Yes, I do." Okay.
Isn't rename right there too? It's like rename, repackage.
Like,
Yeah, but
like,
if you
change
accidentally
name or
click
whatever?
rename, that's not as big of a deal as that. But I mean, like, reprocessing.
No, but like sometimes I go to change my ship name and almost hit reprocess.
Oh,
Right.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Manic Velocity says, Dirk McGurk, Mrs. Velocity wants you to let others on the panel speak. My answer to that is I try and then it's silence. So everybody here, I don't want us all talking over each other, but feel free to jump the fuck in, elbow your
We're
ass
talking
in,
about
say whatever it is.
reprocessing
Well, that's
and
what we've been
repackaging.
doing,
I can't
like,
remember the
yeah.
last
So
time
I like to
reprocessed
bridge
or
to and jump
repackaged
to.
a
The
ship.
only time I've experienced that is I had a nightmare once. I accidentally
I think
reprocessed
my
an
voice should be
18
about
ship,
the
and I
same
was
time
trying
now.
to figure out
The
how to
same
cancel
volume now.
work plans so that I could try to petition it to get it back because it wasn't mine. That was literally the only like contribution to this conversation I've had. And
Pick
see,
a
now
relevant
you're all
topic.
quiet.
Nice
Rain,
execution.
did you say something?
Hey, you really got it out there. That was a good execution. I liked it.
Anyways, all right. So moving on from that, the balance changes coming in the March release. This right here is something. Do you guys want to do
Wait,
this? Do you guys want to go
wait.
for the heavier shit first,
No,
and then
stop,
like
Let's just
stop.
save the
Dirk,
tea
stop.
for last.
Look.
Sort and I will have a
This is a-
decent debate about that, I'm sure.
This is a second balance change from February to March. Second balance change within like a 2-month period. So from one release to the next, there's a balance change.
All right.
I think that's the point
Just
of this.
because
Dirk.
a dev blog came out with the word balance on it. Okay?
This is a balance
does-
change, though. They're balancing ships as in changing the way they actually operate.
They're
Like,
not about. It's not a balance
sort of.
change. It's not a balance
How
change.
is it not a balance change? They're changing
Just
it
because
to
it says
make
balance.
They're
It's
making
changing
orifices
the-
and materials less oppressive, isn't it?
Oh, if you're talking
Areas
about that,
weren't
yeah, sure. I thought you were
oppressive,
talking
Am
about.
I
so-
missing that? Like I thought that was the intent. And I thought that's what people wanted was small changes to ships so that it changes not maybe
Yeah,
the medic
like,
so
that's super sick.
drastically, but like just a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, it's a huge victory for us because it's hopefully going to set the precedent that this is what we can see in the future.
It's just the,
And so then
it's
for,
just the
like-
tip of a balance change. Just the tip.
It is, but like if you think of like, so let's say for April, they're like, oh my gosh, one frigate is super like overpowered and everyone uses it as a tackle ship. Let's change it slightly so then maybe these other 3 frigates or 5 frigates or whatever, might get used more and aren't just complete and utter garbage.
I do.
That's what I mean by balance.
I want to go to to a comment from the Twitch channel. Pasquale out there says, "Yeah, but CCP does that always. Incremental change. No, that is exactly what
No,
they do
haven't
not
done it
do.
in a long time. They haven't done
What
it in
they
a long time.
do is not incremental change, or at least normally in the past, what they've not done is incremental change. What they do is they move on to something else and then eventually change that, and then they move. And by the time they get back around again, it's not been incremental change.
It's not
been
just that
sweeping
though
change.
as well. They generally will allow things to be powerful for about like 3 years, and then instead of like making them level out with anything else, they just whack them really, really hard with a big stick.
That is
and then they
CCP's
become
MO.
absolutely unusable.
Do you guys remember the Drake?
Yeah.
Dude,
there's-
do you see the front
Your
page of
Drake
Reddit right
or-
now? Banderlogs just messed some people up with the Drake fleet. Drake fleet
It
is
was us.
back, baby.
It's good.
Drake fleet is back.
I remember when it used to have 8 launchers.
Zord, I've been looking at
Be
that
careful,
battle report for
though.
a while, and I'm still trying to figure out how that happened.
I just woke up
Well,
and I don't know what happened. I'm gonna yell at
Drakes
people
can
later.
be countered by rocket gilas, so you guys know. So if you're ever running into Drake fleets, just bring a couple rocket gilas. No, just
Rocket
get
gilas.
I mean, Gillis
That's
in
the joke,
general
Dirk lost is
rape-
Drake to a
rape
rocket gila.
Drakes.
Oh.
I did, yes.
Guys, come on.
No, I generally like all the balance changes that have happened. The Muninn getting a 4th mid slot is fucking amazing. Muninn fleets are back. I think Eagles and Munins might get some use. Of course, T2 prices are still really high, so I'm not sure if they'll be super worth
Hey,
it.
keys 2,000 for 5 months.
Hey, the
Um,
good thing is the good thing that's coming out of that is because of the moons. I'm finding, at least in my own coalition, a lot of people are actually quite happy to produce internally, where it wasn't happening before because of moons. But now corps are renting out moons, and they're also just going and building like hundreds and hundreds of T2 ships, and before they take them to Jita, they offer them to us.
Oh yeah, I mean, like there's a Corpin test that supplies, because we fly all shield doctrines and we only use Bassi. There's a Corpin test that supplies every Basilisk that test flies. There's a Corpin test that supplies every Saber that we use, things like that. But it's hard. Like we still do ISK by SRP, and maybe we do it wrong, but like we have to find a value to set that SRP at. It's still attached somewhat to Jita price. I think we do Jita minus 10% or something. I don't know. But
Jita minus 10?
We did Jita half price.
It's pretty fucking white of you, bro.
No, we might do Jita whole. I'm probably giving us a bad name. I don't even know. I never applied for SRP, so. Actually, no, that's a lie. I've applied for SRP twice in the past month. I've started to do that ever since I've started to try and strike out and make it on my own.
Has anyone ever denied you SRP?
No, never.
So with the balance changes that are coming, these small changes here, what do you think of the new meta? Because Macarial gets a little bit of a
I thought that was
design.
hilarious.
The Macarial design, what? Yeah, what do you
The
think?
Macarial was already bad.
It's buffed though. It's buffed with this it's buffed because you get a 20% range increase, which means you don't need to use the sensor booster, which means you have two mid slots to use as utility slots.
Please keep using the Macarial sort.
I mean,
Please keep using it.
Dude. You obviously know the meta. We already switched to tier 5 6 months ago. So,
yeah, you did.
I mean, so like for us, it's not a big deal, but like for those people,
is that an income situation that you run into?
We
the
were
TFI is
okay, so
better
when the expectation was that when they made the change to the patch of the building cost, that we figured we'd get out aside from like the possible oppression of like it being only available in the south. So we hooked up with some people in low sec that we knew that had Minmatar LP, and we just pushed out a heap of TFIs. And then the TFI hits better, the TFI tanks better. It's just a different cycle time. So the TFI is
better
pretty much
the whole time.
Yeah,
TFA's
the TFI is pretty much better in everything.
And the Macarial, I've never thought they were good. I've never been up against a Macarial fleet I didn't trash. I don't know. I can't believe people are looking at that freaking -1 low slot and they're like, yeah, we'll just take the damage control off. It'll be fine. We'll only have 220k HP now. It's hilarious. They're fitting T1 artillery with no damage mods. They have like 400 DPS. It's pathetic. It's hilarious.
The alpha was always the reason why the Macarial was overall. The other battleships are better. It was just the fact that you could get a huge amount of alpha from them.
Yeah, but you're spending 500 million ISK on a brick tanked, shitty DPS alpha battleship. You can do alpha in a lot of different ways. You don't have to do it in a Macarial. It was just like extremely ISK inefficient.
Well, with the attack battlecruisers going to be able to use MJDs, like the medium-sized ones. Are those going to come back, like the sniping Nagas, sniping tornadoes, or is that still just not going to be?
Someone learns to bomb.
No, you just don't have enough tank there.
You literally just get bombed. Like the thing is, those as well, assault frigates own them. You just warp assault frigates on them, and watch them try to like use large guns on you and just haze them.
You guys remember that 6-month period where fucking attack battlecruisers were the shit?
Yeah, that's when I came into the game. That's what everyone uses. Tornadoes and Nagas. That was the comps.
Talos, yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted an actual tanked fleet that was like that, that was when the not the Tempest, but what's the other Minmatar battlecruiser? The
NATO?
No, the
Naga.
That's the gold.
The artillery
Minmatar.
The artillery battleship, not battlecruiser.
Hurricane.
That's it.
No, battleship. The
Maelstrom.
Maelstrom, yeah. I kept wanting to say Macarial, but I was like, no, it's the other M1. But yeah, the Maelstroms were pretty popular if you wanted a tankier version.
Great ship.
The Maelstroms are like Macarials with people who know how to actually FC.
Maelstroms are going to get a massive buff in this patch. I mean, now they'll be able to, because their range was always limited by their targeting range, and now they can actually hit out to their max range.
I love the Maelstroms. I love that fleet. Maelstroms and Hurricanes were probably.
I was just going to ask. I mean, because right off the bat, right, Tech 1 battleships are getting 25% increase to cargo capacity and a 20% max lock range, and yeah, that absolutely benefits those fucking RDs.
It benefits every battleship. I mean, the meta now is long-range guns, so I mean, rogues get benefited massively because they don't have to slot a SIBO now. Like Sword said, you don't have to put a SIBO on your Mac if you really don't want to.
When was the last time though that brawlers and shit? And you know what? It's like I feel like I flew more autocannon Macarials.
You don't want to brawl these days. In the days
but it's
of
been so long
bosuns,
since
I think
brawling
in
was
the age
a
of
part of the
bosuns,
meta.
you don't want to be near anything. You want to
It's
be
not just
ready
that.
to run.
The problem is you warp in, and with booshes now, they just boosh. Like if you warp in at a brawl range, as soon as you start to land, they'll just boosh away. And then you're stuck at like 100k while they're long range guns just hazing you, and you have to warp out.
Well, it's situational there, but like it's just there's not enough advantage to short range guns. Like you get what 20-30% more DPS maybe, and then you got to stay in range of them, and to do that people used to anchor their fleets, but now bombers are always there. Not that they haven't always been, but they're pretty consistent. It's just with the capital meta the way it is, you don't want to be in a situation where you're stuck in bubbles and you have to burn 80 kilometers killing dictors because you melt to capitals. I mean, sirens come out, beam bubbles from the supers come out, bosuns and haws and lances, and then you start getting the vendettas are dropping webs on you, just all kinds of crazy stuff. You do not want to be in a position where you are not at
Unless
range,
you're in a
ready
cruiser
to run.
doctrine, basically.
Yeah. I think
Or
the
in
last
spaz,
brawling
like in a
control.
battleship option. Yeah, in
I mean,
cruisers, you might be able
even
to
to
run,
like
but-
even to take it out of the context of like larger fights like that, even just look at the Ferox last patch. If you wanted to gank a capital, I was looking at the fit and I was thinking, can we do something Welpkane-ish with this? Get something working with blasters, and it just doesn't work. It's just 100% worse than railgun.
Yeah, well,
fit,
medium
like, in
guns
100%
are
options.
medium close range guns are for small gang. Like people keep forgetting about this. Like just because it doesn't work in a fleet environment doesn't mean it gets used somewhere. Close range guns are used in solo.
I know, because I
Um,
use them in solo, but like it's just disgusting how there's no short range systems that are like actually viable, save autocannon refits on max.
Close range guns are good at killing fighters on certain hulls if you really need I mean, these days if you've got subcaps that can remove fighters from the field quickly, that gives you a big advantage over some people who don't have a good method for killing fighters with subcaps. Once the capitals come on the field, if your subcaps is not shooting fighters and they're not doing a lot of damage to facts, they're really just taking up space. So if you like a good cruiser with close range guns and a web can deal 800 DPS to a fight, or 600 to 800 DPS with a fighter. That is just as useful as an SS squadron.
I think the last brawling battleship fleet I remember, it was Baltics. I think that was the last time I remember there being.
Baltics are long range battleships.
Yeah,
They
those
were
are rails.
railgun.
I mean,
I
but-
went on a
but
bunch
one
of
of
the
the-
fleets where
one
they
of
where
the
they
things-
had
PL,
those
since
PL,
glasses on.
used,
They-
PL
they-
used
kind of
pulse
long-range, short-range.
Abaddons. PL used pulse Abaddons on Goons deployment up north last year. That's the last time I've seen someone use close range guns on a battleship. Autocannons
used
on
pulse
Macarials aren't
Abaddons
terrible
against-
either.
I used pulse Abaddons against PL a couple of times to like minimal success.
Yeah, it's just, it's so easy to get stuck. Battleships are so slow. If you get stuck in a situation where you're not doing damage to the enemy fleet because you have close range guns, you just feel really stupid.
But since we got off onto kind of the subject of alpha damage and long range and stuff like that, I mean, and I don't want to get into kind of a future subject that we're going to get on here, which is that crazy freaking ship they just came out with. But I mean, is this one of the problems with fucking headshotting? Is that so much of this game from a block fleet perspective has gone to
No.
like alpha damage, period.
No.
So
long
okay,
range,
the thing
fucking
is,
just
the
shoot
alpha
it.
doesn't matter. Like, okay, so the alpha matters on subcaps that aren't the FC. This ship will help a little bit, but in reality, most FCs will tell all of their lodges to take one rep and put it on the FC at all times. So the alpha doesn't matter because it'll always continuously cycle, and you'll always be able to catch the reps on the FC if you're flying a correct damnation, or a Tengu, or something like. I think the Shield Loki is the new one for Shield.
If you're good
ships.
FC, yeah, like Sort says, if you're good FC, you know how much alpha the enemy fleet can do, and you either don't put yourself in that situation, or you keep yourself at range, or you take some measure to prevent yourself from getting alpha. It's
Right, but
it's
those
not
are-
like some big secret. Like if they have 100 maelstroms, they can do 1,000,000 volley at 33 plus 57, so they can do 500,000 at 80 kilometers. just sit it at 100 kilometers with 500,000 EHP and a damnation, and you won't get volleyed.
But wasn't that the issue, I want to say, years ago before they made changes to Logi and things like that, where everything was kind of switching over at that time to sort of the long range, mass volley, type of thing rather than brawler fits because of how Logi operated at the time? And one of the things that we're facing now is that, well, then that just means that for those groups out there that are most likely to have their FC head shot off the field, it's basically because everybody uses mass volley.
It might be nice for learning FCs who are still learning the game to not get killed. That might actually be useful. I didn't think about it like that. But back then you knew what you were getting into. During the Fountain War, Dirk, I once watched 400 Megathrons across 3 fleets of 3 maxed out fleets lock up my ship at the same time. If you're gonna get volleyed, if the enemy fleet has enough people and they really want to volley you, it's going to happen. You just have to take that into consideration. We had backup FCs. You're right. 3 or 4 years ago, it might have been a slight problem, but I think this was an idea that came up in a CSM session or something like that years ago, and then CCP obviously felt pressured to push out some stuff, and they pushed out a lot of good changes. They must have just pushed this one out too.
The thing is with this ship is that without probes,
yeah,
you really don't want to teach new FCs. Hang on, I'm just gonna let me say this. Without probes, you don't want to say if you want to put a new FC into it, you want them to learn how to probe and effectively probe. So I won't be telling any of my FCs to use this. It'll be used to damnation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. None of my
we are totally going to get onto that fucking monitor ship in a little bit, and believe me, probes will be one of those topics. I did not want to divert off into that. I was more talking about just kind of the use of the long range, which also tends to be kind of the high volley damage, overall within the meta.
No, I think Muck put up a good post on Reddit a couple months ago that explained. It's not so much alpha as it is you need to do enough damage before reps hit. So if you have high rate of fire guns, you could possibly. It's a simple formula, got about 7 to 8 seconds before reps hit, depending on if it's shield or armor. If it's shield, it's closer to 6 seconds. If it's armor, it's close to 8. If you could deal enough damage in that time frame, whether it's all at once with artillery, or you're getting 2 shots off with railguns that have a 5-second rate of fire, then you're going to kill the enemy before reps hit. If you can't, then you're not. It's a pretty simple formula. So
most people good FCs will actually lock the opposition FC but not shoot him, and so the opposite FC will automatically scream for reps to start doing, and then you can kill generally 2 to 3 targets before they actually realize that you weren't ever going to shoot the FC.
That's a fun one, yeah. Bonus points if you put paints on him, then he really freaks out.
Yeah.
But hey, so what do you think about that Drake Navy issue?
What did they do with it?
They gave it an extra high slot.
Minus one launcher slot. So it now no longer has 8. It's only got 7. And instead of Caldari Battlecruiser bonus level 10% plus 10% to heavy missile and heavy assault missile damage was the 4% to shield resistances.
Yeah, they basically just upgraded the DNI from mediocre to aggressively mediocre.
I'm sure you'll see some fun solo PvPer do a ham fit. They'll be fun to watch. They'll mess up a lot of people with a scram web ham.
I was just generally fucking joking in the goddamn Drake line there. But however, I do want to bring up the Eagle. The Eagle has had a place before in the fleet meta and may find one once again between the assault damage control and the Ferox nerf, but we still feel some added utility is a good idea.
Isn't a nerf.
Plus 12 max velocity, plus 25 drone bandwidth, and plus 25 drone bay. So it's like getting a little bit of speed and some drones. What's that going to do to the Eagle?
Well, the drones are useless. It's a sniper, so you're never in drone range anyway.
That was the Eagle. They said that it was a fleet thing. I remember
this is
a couple months it was used, and then it got
right? This is a dedicated balance team though that's thinking these things out, guys. So we have to think beyond what.
Well, it's already
I guess
basically
you could use the drones to clear off tackle.
Limit of what it can be. It's got a double optimal range bonus, a damage bonus, and a resist bonus. You can't give it more than that. So you can up its speed a little bit. You up its base HP a little bit, which they obviously didn't feel like doing. So they're like, what can we give it? Let's give it drones. You know?
Yeah, you can clear off
And the
little tiny
reality is,
frigates.
most of the time
You can do some
you're
fun
flying
stuff
at
with
range.
drones. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's nice to have drones. It never hurts. But like, you know, it goes a little faster. Great. The Eagle's already probably going to be a pretty good hack. Of the hacks that you can fly, the Eagle's one of the best for a fleet setting. Not like a small gang skirmish setting.
You may find a lot of people will troll people and into thinking that, oh, we can warp on this Eagle fleet. It's a long range ship. They won't really hurt us. Someone will warp in on them with a fleet, and then they'll all drop drones and haste whoever warped in on them.
Hell yeah, it'll be nice to kill tackle off. Let's see.
Oh, you put hull bots in there and have no logi. Just everybody uses drones on
like
each other.
The Eagle's not bad. You get it locks out to 167 base. It's got 260 DPS at range with spike. That's pretty good. It's
I just don't remember the Eagle ever being like that great. But is it good now because of the damage control that it's getting?
Yeah,
it was always kind of
Yeah.
good.
Like, is that why all of a sudden now it might be a
assault
ship
damage
before it was
control is
shitty?
really
'Cause-
powerful at range. I think it's really powerful at range. If people are willing to bring back an old tactic and sort, you might remember this. Remember when people used to have sniper battleship fleets and they tell
Yeah.
people to warp out when they get primaried?
Remember
you'd
that?
warp to a pause where there was lodges, and then you get wrapped up and warp back.
Yeah. So with the assault damage control, you can now people now have the time to prevent themselves from getting volleyed and align out and warp out.
You don't even need your fucking logi on the field anymore. You can have them at a safe spot waiting for you to come pit stop again.
Remote.
Well, most of the time, people can't even hit Eagles. Like,
Off
generally,
grid
with an
routes?
Eagle whoops in a sniper, you're not going to hit it because it already has, like, a god-awful range.
Yeah, it's it could work. We toyed around with the idea of running either nothing but Serbs or nothing but Eagles in a fleet and just having people warp out if they get primaried after they hit their ADC. I'm not sure if that's a good
remember
idea.
back when some
but we
people were
toyed
smart
around
enough
with
to
it.
do that, though? It's really fucking hard, though. It's like,
Oh,
when you
remember
tell
when
people at the
remember
beginning
when
of the
there wasn't
fleet,
a
if you
button
start
that
taking
you-
aggro, warp out.
Remember when
Well,
there
it
wasn't
was
a
also
button that you had to
honorable.
hit to align? You actually had to find the fucking thing and align
You had to
to
find
it?
the celestial in space.
But it was also, like, super honorable between FCs. Like these days, if you did that, they would just warp on your lodges. But back then, you were like, back in the Confederate War, you would only fight on the grid with long-range battleships versus long-range battleships.
I think that was
No
more,
one would
I think
warp
that was
on
more
anyone
about the
else's
fact
lodges.
that probing was not as easy as it is today.
Oh, that's true.
No, because they would be on a tower. You'd know where they were. Like, everyone had a towering system with the lodges sitting on it.
It was
man.
Napoleonic rules.
Mhm.
Don't headshot the general.
No, dude, back then it was fun. Oh my god, I loved it.
Well, back then,
Oh.
FCs didn't even have anything else except for a probing ship. They were in, like, a Helios sitting on grid.
That's pretty sick. I
No,
wish we could
seriously.
do that. That'd be so nice.
I
Can we
actually
just-
from a command
can we just
ship
all
level
agree to do
as
that?
well. Oh.
See, that's what we need. We need kind of like a Geneva Convention. That would take Eve to the next fucking level. We need a Geneva Convention on fucking war rules.
We
G-
get a
Gita
Hague
convention.
If you could find
Yes.
a like,
People
it-
can't
it's a-
figure
it's
out
a
ratting
fun
laws,
thought
let alone
experiment.
Geneva Convention law.
Well,
I
people
think
also have to
writing's
understand
hard.
that back then there wasn't broadcasts, so you were calling A to Z. You were calling names,
Yeah.
and people were dying. Like, so anyone that had the letter starting with A, or like back then, everyone would call A
Air
to Z,
defense,
and then
dude. I called
and
air
then-
defense
yeah.
like 100 times.
so
That's why you have to
PL
have a
came
name
in
that's
with
somewhere in the
with
middle of the
drastic-
alphabet.
Well, PL came with this drastic concept and, like, started shooting Z to A, and for the first week, everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you can do that," and then everyone changed.
You
Like,
can
and so different
reverse
people
sort the
started doing
list. Jesus. No.
Anyone that started with an A used to literally just come with plates and hardeners, no damage control, and shield tanks, just to
Yeah, I
soak as
remember
much
that.
DPS.
Those good times. Dirk, it's a fun thought experiment on the Jiva Convention thing to think about how different the game would be if there were no spies.
Well,
No,
there'd be
You
a whole
can
bunch
still
of different things. We
spy.
could probably literally
You just
do an
don't shoot
entire
the
fucking
FC.
show on, like,
Yeah.
No, you're
No,
talking
so
about
the
the
spy
Geneva
has-
Convention
A
to like set
Geneva
war rules.
Convention.
I'm just saying, like a
Nice play on
thought
words.
experiment.
So the perfect
mean,
example, ProGod and I were against each other in Delve around about 5 years ago, and they didn't have any spies in PL at the time, and we were rocks versus maelstroms, and we kept editing our rocks every fleet to do different things, and because they didn't have a spy, they didn't know the fit of the rock.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
so that's the difference of what you can do when there's no spies. It's not about knowing the FC, because once you know the FC character, you know them for good.
You say
but
you
knowing
can't
that
stop the
you're-
rock?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, okay.
I
No,
don't think
it's
any kind of
an
convention would
interesting
ever
thing.
work, though.
I mean, it's never going to happen. It's just it's an interesting thought
No.
experiment to think how easier it would be for like newer groups to start out if they didn't have to worry about all the elite people who are already better than them also spying on them and knowing their every move.
Well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Newer
Getting
groups
spied-
that would be more like
it's really hard.
terrorists and like like non-combatants or what's the whole thing when you're not wearing a fucking uniform, right? So it's like they would
Guerrilla
not
warfare.
actually fall under the under the Geneva Convention in the same way.
Well, the thing is, like, you could make an agreement between a bunch of people, like, oh, we're not going to spy. That just means that they would just tell
The
their spy-
establishment
You can't make that
allow for
agreement.
new
This is
people
why
to
it'll
come
never
up.
work. You can't make that agreement because
Hey,
you
Pro-God,
gotta
I'm not
trust
going to
but
spy on
verify.
test.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm not going to spy on test.
What
That
are
would
we
just
gonna get
mean
out
that
there
everyone's
like
spying on
Reagan
each other,
and
just
trust
not-
but verify?
People just spy on each other, not say that they're spying on each other. Like, okay, we just
Yeah.
can't burn spies anymore because that shows we had them, so we'll have to do different stuff with the spies.
Exactly. But anyways, let's hear the Muninn, which as everybody knows, like like a year ago or whatever the hell it was, got like a better model to it or whatever art wise, is now getting an actual balance pass. We hope these improvements. We hope with these improvements, the Muninn can find a place as a more agile and slippery artillery option compared to Hurricanes or even Lokis. Minotaur Cruiser bonus level 7.5%. Medium projectile turret damage was 5%. It's got a little bit more armor, got a little bit more max velocity. It's got a way bunch more mass. It looks like 750,000. Yeah, less mass. It's got a little bit smaller sig, losing one high slot, gaining one mid.
I mean,
But-
everyone's been asking for that fourth mid slot forever now. I mean, everyone's thinking it. Black Legion used to run Munins very well with 50K.
Slippery Munes.
No,
Well,
not
does that-
Slippery Munins. It's just regular fucking Munin fleet. It's
Well, does that
We
look
had
your
to-
damage similar? Because
Slippery
I don't know
mums.
the math, but you minus the high slot, but so you're losing a gun, but you're getting.
You're not losing a gun. You're losing a utility mid. I mean,
Utility,
utility high.
utility
you have the
high.
same guns.
never
You're
mind. I
losing
thought I was
nothing.
taking like a turret slot out, and I was like, okay, but you're getting the 2.5% more damage from the
No,
bonus.
so you get to put a little extra shield extender on. That's what you get to do. You go from 51. I'm looking at it right now. You got 51 KHP. You go to 77, which is your typical Hurricane EHP right now. You're really fast though. You've got great range, good volley, and you've got an assault damage control. I think you've got enough EHP to hit your assault damage. If you've got good pilots, they'll hit their assault damage control early. You got plenty of time to catch those reps. It's just what do you?
Is there
I don't
any
know how
reason that you would
well
use
you can
the
stay on
Eagle over
grid.
this?
Oh yeah, the Eagle hits much further. Like these are two different types of ships. The Muninn is a skirmisher. The Eagle is an actual fleet ship.
Yeah, but if the Muninn can get on top of the Eagles will die. Like,
Oh
that's the
yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
We had to, when we were fighting Black Legion back in the day in Venal, we had to have all of our lodges put one rep up and one rep down on every one of their lodges, just in an attempt to stay alive. Because the Munins would just shred them, and then they would shred your subcaps afterwards.
Yeah, it's a good ship. It's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, what's really interesting about the Muninn is now with the Entosis changes, the Muninn, like a small gang of 10 to 15 people made up of Munins and a few Logi and a command ship, might be your best little Entosis group. You got like 4 gangs of 15 people. That way you only have to split 60 people out of your main fleet. And they're all in Munins and like a couple scimitars and a claymore and a vulture. That is a really strong 15-man fleet. And if you got enough Munins, you can actually kill enemy Logi. It's a very interesting fleet.
I'm just getting flashbacks to one time my alliance was trying to debate what ships to fly, and someone said Munins, and everyone yelled at him and called him an idiot. And like when I
Most
hear
people are
you all
idiots.
talking about
Depends on when
now
that
about
was.
Muninn
Was that like
changes.
when you were in high school or?
No, I wasn't playing Eve in high school, but no, it was I don't know. Whenever I was
So you've only been playing Eve for like a year?
So the issue of Munins, the problem was that any like battleship, like Max would kill them, Abaddons would kill them, Rocks would kill them, just simply because you couldn't tank enough. There's a possibility now that you could actually tank enough with the extender and the assault frigate or the assault damage control.
Hey Drayden, would you please send Drunk Canadian Jintan's name tag?
Oh, that's right. I don't have that one.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know what? I do want to move on because we are 1 hour now into the show, and we have got two. Well, we've got.
We should do some shots. Blossom's calling shots in chat.
Yep, feel free.
Yeah, we'll do shots.
I've got one left. I'm gonna save it.
Shots.
Graydon, can you Discord that?
We've got some heavy. We've got some heavy topics, so I do want to talk about the fucking monitor. You know, like, you know, please God, don't fucking headshot me, but please, but you know what? Come on, let me do something, motherfucking else, please. Flag cruiser. This is the first ship in a new T2 cruiser group known as flag cruisers. Now, my notes on that was, what the hell does that mean? How many damn flag cruisers do we need? Like, is there some sort of thing here about, like, there may be more of these things in some way? Like, with dialing up and dialing down?
I'm going to give you 3 letters. It starts with N and it ends with A.
No? An NDA.
Oh, yeah.
We can't discuss this.
So because you're not discussing
I'm not asking my CSM people here. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying... I'm saying we've already had command ships. We've already had a bunch of ships out there that people are already saying are the things that
You're actually shushing him right now.
So this is so this is the thing where he's like, oh, everyone just talk, and I had a point.
No,
so they
go
said
ahead.
So they're saying NDA, which means they're not able to say no, which means it's yes.
We literally only talk about the monitor. That's literally all we can talk about.
All right, so there's definitely more ships coming. 100%.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, I understand
Whatever,
the
sort,
fucking
don't ruin my
enunciation and
illusions.
pronunciation of words, Rain. Okay, what I'm saying is, how many of these fucking things do we need? When basically what we needed apparently for some people out there was a gimmick ship. Okay, how many more other fucking gimmick ships do we need when we had things that could actually do the job?
Right? Like
if they let it probe, then I will definitely allow them to have another gimmick ship.
The nullified yacht cruiser.
I don't think we really need any more ships, and I don't think we needed this one. It's a dumb ship. It's useless if it can't use probes.
What do you mean we don't need ships? Are you saying we should never get more ships? Like, that's why they introduced like T3Ds and...
Okay, so
we
the
didn't
problem
need
with that is...
T3Ds.
The problem is
I don't think he was saying that we should never get new ships, but...
They could balance
gimmick
the
ships,
existing
maybe.
ships instead of bringing in some ships that kill off the old ships.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
we got
that's
T3Ds,
okay. That's
and then we had to find. You know, we went 2 years where assault frigates are basically useless. Now we're bringing in something to make assault frigates more useful, and
well, we have command destroyers too.
Yeah, so no one's actually
I guess
used this thing.
I guess my whole thing was about where would other ship look. If you want to throw a gimmick ship in, okay, to be able to solve a particular problem that you think exists out there, which are people who put themselves into a position and then get fucking headshot, and they were the only FC in their fucking... Fine. Put the gimmick ship in. That's all well and fucking good. How many more do you need in what is supposedly a new group of flag cruisers when what you had were ships that could actually get it all done?
I think you're reading way too much into it.
Didn't they do that in Australia with like frogs? Didn't they just fix the underlying?
Well,
Shouldn't they just fix the underlying problem instead of introducing new things?
So the issue is that, and this is the big thing that I've said to CCP, and it's not NDA, and it really pisses me off. When you're bringing a ship in and calling it an FC ship, you ask the FCs what they want, and if you don't give the FCs what they want, then don't bring the fucking ship out. Because the point is,
every the players everything they want.
No, but like, when I'm saying
because
like,
then
not
you'd
a
have players that want fucking invulnerability and probing.
No, but you could at least ask, and then out of that, sort of build something similar, but that works.
And you can ask what they want and take a mean average and go, okay, this sounds balanced. This sounds balanced. Like a hull gun is stupid, but probing, for example, is a very important thing about FCing, and not putting probes on an FC ship when nearly every FC across political lines, across everything in the game says probes are needed, then you put probes on it.
Except for the guy who died so early that it didn't. Headshotting is about fucking knocking people so early out in the process that, guess what? Their probing didn't fucking matter anyways.
No, that's not true at all, because you go through half a fleet and then you headshot the FC. Like, there's certain times of headshotting.
It doesn't matter, because I'm not taking a ship out that I can't probe with.
Yeah, exactly.
So what
literally
would you
no one
take
is
out?
going to use
Because
this.
apparently, from what I heard the other day, you lose multiple ships across every battle, and you're having to freaking reship and things like that. So what ship would you take out that can get the job done that you as an FC need?
The last FC ship that I lost was like 8 months ago.
Yeah, I don't lose ships very often.
Oh.
Like I got headshot by that fucking Tri-Keepstar 3 times, but that's because it has a Doomsday. Like.
The point is that if you're going to bring this ship out, then probes has to come on it. Otherwise, it's just a gimmick. People will buy it and look at it and go, "Oh, that's great," but I'm never going to fly it.
What if just a gimmick?
What if the Horgun?
There that have really high
but it could
EHP
be a
if that's what
useful
you
gimmick.
need.
It could be a useful gimmick by giving it probes.
What if the Horgun doesn't take up any slots and it's just on the ship?
Why do you even need the Horgun?
Why do you need a Horgun?
Because you're a whore.
Because
If you're an FC and you need a fucking kill mail on your fucking kill board,
If
you could just like.
Hey, Whimsical, thanks for the $25,
That's
brother.
like Logi who dropped
$25
reps.
donation,
My last shot to the
motherfuckers.
fucking monitor.
Yeah.
You
could
Or
just
Logi
post the.
who bring damage drones instead of rep drones. Like
Wow,
that's
Hey, Dirk.
a retarded concept.
Dirk, your boy
You don't need the-
Whimsical
you need
just tipped $25.
Yeah,
Oh.
25.
Thanks,
Shit,
Whimsical.
Thanks, Wim.
Oh, Dirk's not even
But
here.
it's like you don't need the kill mails. I mean, if you want them on your record, but you could literally just go and copy and paste the battle report and be like, that's me. I did that.
I think most of my
It was
FC
a joke,
characters
Drayden.
have
Shots from
like
Whimsical.
100 kills for the whole 15 years.
Yeah,
that
I
was FC.
stopped. I don't even when I'm FCing, I don't even think to fire my guns. There's too many other things going on.
The
Are you
point is that
probing?
in today's
Yeah, I'm probing a
in
lot.
in today's meta, when everything is like sniper and things like that, probes are very important. And
Well-
like a lot of people have said just have an ult. Well, that's
I
not
was
really
just
fair
gonna
to the
ask that.
FCs.
I was
that's
just
not
going to
really
ask
fair.
if you guys are too busy doing stuff to have an alt probing as well, and just give them fleet work
Well,
capabilities.
the issue is as well is that this game doesn't perform as well as it used to under multi-client. Like the game used to be really, really good. You could have 6 or 7 clients open. You can't do that now. It's just not possible.
Not to mention, I don't
Right.
necessarily want to pay for 2 accounts, so like.
Just do more ratting, Progog.
Come on, man.
I
If
get
you're in
that,
fucking
I
tab,
did
you
just
should
buy a
pay
What are
for
you,
some
poor?
accounts.
Just pull out of the wallet.
You know, I already struggle to justify $15 a month, so I don't pay for my account. I shouldn't say that.
Dude, if you paid for like an entire fucking year, it would be like, like $3 a month cheaper.
I get my account flexed. So.
All right, there we go. But no, seriously, I mean, when you look at this ship, it was put in for a very specific reason. It was not necessarily put in for you, okay? Who I don't know, may have Logi, that may have a fucking fleet comp around. This is apparently put in for people who are just knocked off the fucking field almost immediately. Not midway through a fucking fight after you've already chiseled down people's Logi. Like right from fucking jump.
I mean, if it helps some new guy who doesn't really understand the game, like learn how to FC better, great. But it's really
It
inconsequential.
just feels like a mum ship. If you want your mum to play
it's-
Eve, you bring them on the fleet and go fly in this. You don't have to do anything. You can just watch the shiny ships.
I don't know.
Because literally
it's,
that's
shit.
like this is what this annoys me, and I've had this with the CCP before. This annoys me, the fact of they bring in these things, they spend the time on them, yet when someone comes up and says this needs this, and like I represent a lot of FCs on the CSM, and a lot of those FCs say it needs probes, and you say that, why bring it out if it's not going to have like a really, really important thing in the fleet meta? Because the fleet meta is not going to change because you bring the monitor out. The fleet meta is exactly the same no matter what. So give the fucking ship probes, it doesn't really affect anything.
Well, this is, I mean, if they bring this out, then
It
is this
actually
going to make a
probably
work in
does.
progress?
I will be honest with that.
Do you think that they'll, come back? Like we were just saying before, they don't do, constant changes on something they bring out. They tend to like bring it out and then go off to other shit. So
I've been
is this
hearing
probably
about,
not going to be
This was
brought
an
back
idea
to
back when I was on the CSM and Sort was on his first CSM. Like it's been around. I have a feeling they just pushed it out because
we
there was
actually
a lot
brought
of
it up
pressure.
we were the first people to bring it up on CSM 8.
Yeah.
and that was-
Who was arguing against? For the love of God, just let it have probes. These people that have to be the only guy in their fleet that can also fucking probe and do that kind of shit. Believe me, their fleet's not going to let. Just give them probes so they want to fly
there was
it and
actually
still
people on
live
the
and watch their
CSM,
fleet die.
Like Jintang can say, I don't know if he will agree with this, but there were people on the CSM saying it didn't need probes at the summit. In that particular session, we were talking about it.
Were those
And the
people
fact was,
not,
is that
not FCs?
Well,
Were those people not FCs?
well,
It's
I mean,
it's at this
no
point that
offense to-
remind you that the CSM is democracy and that democracy is a great form of government.
No, hold
Yeah,
on. Number
I
one,
mean-
the CSM is not a democracy.
So the
which
thing
would
is,
have
I wanna
meant
say
that
is
somebody else up there had to have made a good case.
What do you mean it's not a
CSM's
democracy?
it's more of a town
It's
hall.
the
elected.
perfect example is a nominate in the Twitch chat right now said he doesn't believe it should have probes. And
Why
that's the
did
difference between
Nominate say
that's the like I mean he can answer himself. I'm not gonna answer for him.
But
yeah,
the point
And you know
is
what,
that
Drayden? And you know what, Drayden? Just fucking whisper and nominate. Give him the goddamn thing to be able to come in here because
there should always be a decision made when choosing
well-
ships. So let's not choose the ship that was made specifically for the purpose of me.
I
choosing
mean,
it.
I
And
don't
that is
necessarily
absolutely
disagree
true.
with
That
the
is absolutely
nominate.
true. But let's be honest here. What this ship is fucking built for. This ship is not built for fucking block FCs who have a legitimate fleets behind them going up against other legitimate fleets. This is about something less
that's
than that, right?
absolutely incorrect.
Is it?
Absolutely, because you don't
I
get
don't
you don't get
understand-
headshot. You don't get headshot by 20 people on grid. You get headshot by 500 battleships from a block shooting you and getting popped.
I don't
Like,
understand
well,
why
it requires
we're
this
so
level
up
of
in arms
fucking
about this
defense?
fucking thing. It's
Well, and-
just a fucking ship. It's
Okay,
like,
so the one thing I can tell you to move on, they're not going to give it probes. Boom. It's already been said multiple times. There is no
Well,
argument.
and
it's not
local-
But
gonna
is
stop
that
it.
because of people on the CSM, which I thought was the thing that we were just talking about?
No, it's
versus,
literally like they
they
literally
just
have
don't
just
want to
said.
go there.
They said even when I said it in the summit, it didn't matter what the CSM has said. They were not giving it probes.
Well, and the other thing is now I don't know if this is like a big deal that it would make them.
It's not a
change
big
on it,
deal.
but
This whole thing
no,
isn't a
I'm
big
saying
deal.
Locatar's in chat was saying if you give it probes, you're going to have to give it a cargo bay to hold the probes, which having
Well,
no
yes, a
cargo bay
little
was
bit,
one of
yeah.
the points they didn't want it
I
to
mean,
be like a transport.
No,
ship
that's not true at all.
I don't
you
think
can just,
that's like
you've got a
big
corpse
issue,
bay.
but
You've got a corpse bay. You can have a probes bay. Like it's simple as that.
You can put probes in
Probe
a
bay?
corpse bay.
just make a probe bay.
Make a fucking glove compartment bay. We
Oh,
don't
you
give a
mean
shit what you call it.
specifically? I see what you're saying. Yeah, they have no, they have the drug bay and they have the corpse bay, which for people who don't know, those are for on Alliance tournament ships. So you can literally scoop to corpse bay type thing.
who the fuck cares? Like, what the fuck are we spending so much time on a shitty ship no one gives a shit about? Like, honestly.
Because you say that though, okay? You know,
Would you care
But
if
again,
it had probes?
all right.
No, I probably still wouldn't use it. I like the booster fleet too.
Let's take this out of kind of block warfare
And even if I
and
did,
move it
like,
down a
great,
notch.
they gave me a special FC ship. Cool. Like Sort says, it changes the meta in no way.
Would you use it if it had probes?
Maybe if it was like a better FC ship than the one I'm using, it would make my tank slightly better. And once again, it would change nothing except for the fact that I have 20% more effective hit points now.
Maybe you guys will
does
use it
change
as a,
it
like a-
changes the one ship the one guy is flying.
It'll be a decoy FC
Yeah,
ship. You'll just put some
it's
pleb in it.
fucking- It is the least consequential part of this fucking change.
It changes.
in
like,
the
all
grand
it
scheme
changes.
of
Item
everything
number
they've
10
done in
on the
Eve.
little things thing that Karker put out is more important. Any one of those items that Karker put out is
There
more
was no
important
reason for
than
the
one
ship to come
tiny
out.
little ship that the FC flies. It was something that CCP had that they pushed out because
Whoa.
they had it. It's great.
No,
You
no,
got a
no, no.
$50
I don't think it was
donation?
quite that. In
Yeah,
the
it
grand
came up
scheme
as
of everything
anonymous,
that
but
CCP
$50 donation.
Who did?
I don't know. It came up as
Anonymous.
anonymous.
I'm
Oh.
going to start reading out
But it's
things that are
50
more important
50
than
bills.
monitor.
In the grand scheme of
Salvage
everything
option
that
for
CCP
salvage
has
drones
done-
has
Thank
been
you,
moved to the
Anonymous.
top of the right-click menu. The
in the grand
height
scheme,
of the duration
Wait,
drops
wait,
down the menu of
hold on,
market
before we
orders
just
has
like
been
start fucking like
increased.
doing that. All right, in the grand scheme of everything that fucking CCP has done, honestly, Rorquals, excavators, fucking, all that kind of shit that's going on out there. It's like, give this shit fucking probes. And then if what you find out is every FC in the game is using it, you know to dial it back in some way.
Then
Well, no,
take it
but-
away.
no,
Yeah,
it's every-
yeah,
I just
yeah.
Ah,
want
the
to-
old
the-
Rorqual strategy.
The 20 minutes that we spent talking about this is the 20 minutes not worth talking about this. Because
Exactly.
if you hadn't have put this in the patch, it wouldn't have mattered. If they had to put it in the patch without probes, now we're only talking about that. It literally doesn't matter. No one is going to use it because of the probes, and no one would have mattered about it beforehand. Everyone flies command ships, and generally these days, the level of headshotting, unless it's defending on a strategic asset, doesn't happen anymore as much as it used to.
Pretty much.
I wouldn't
Although
say
I still
nobody's
do
going
come
to
back
use it.
to, what the fuck are the other ships they're going to put into this category?
Who cares?
An FC ship that can probe, probably.
I mean,
But that's all it
ND,
can do, it can only probe.
But no tank.
whatever, but like,
But no tank. A probing ship with no tank.
What's just the squishiest thing
All
ever,
right.
but it has probes? That's not better.
No mids, no lows.
You
It's one
literally
high
just
slot.
got up me for for not understanding a joke, and I made a joke, and then automatically you become serious. Oh my god.
No, we were joking.
you're fucking Sword Dragon, bro.
Fair enough. I'm actually
In the
considering running
minute
for
Sword
CSM
Dragon
this year
said,
as
When I
as
make a
Shard
joke,
Dragon.
I mean a joke.
I own the character Shard Dragon. I may actually run for CSM this year as Shard Dragon.
You can't. You have to run as your most notable.
The next thing we're gonna move on is is really fucking quick.
Oh
just
man,
to
does
get
that
out
mean
of the
that
way.
we can just? Does that mean that
You
we can
can't
get
make- you can't make
CCP's
alts.
opinion on like who's
That's
more famous
actually
by pretending they're
incorrect.
the same
If they
person?
agree to it, I can run as that character.
Oh, they have to agree though.
All right, the next thing we're going to go on to here, which is the short topic in before the couple of two big fucking topics. Tether changes, 30-second tether delay for capitals jumping to a Sino after the point where their jumping system loses. After the point where the jumping ship loses their system change in vulnerability. Tethering delay timer will appear in the buff bar above the ship's heads-up display.
Great change.
30 seconds when you're traveling, jumping on a fucking structure.
It's a good change. What you
Good
should also
change.
clarify to that, is that if you can dock, you can dock immediately.
You can dock
To it-
immediately. Yes, absolutely.
To a Citadel that you can dock in with the capital. Yes.
Hey, another $50 from. Oh my God.
Wow. Jeez.
Haladera Karg.
I'm gonna
Sure.
owe this
He
motherfucker
says, I was
literally
gonna
in the
use
after
the
show. I'm just gonna
Black
fucking
Flag
do
kitchen
it
soon
all.
tomorrow. Oh, I'll take a shot. He wants us to
Damn.
take a shot. I was reading the message, but Dirk likes to ramble a bunch like a fucking baby boomer who can't respect other people's boundaries.
Why is it always an age thing with you, Rain?
Because it's
Yeah.
really funny, and I can't
Snowflake
make these
your
jokes
shit out the fucking door.
I can't make
Oh.
these jokes at work, so I have to make them to you guys.
Is it inappropriate at your work?
However,
It is, yeah.
for those of us who care about whether or not independently in the middle of the fucking night you jump your goddamn Titan to I don't know an Astrohoos or something like that. Does this matter? No, because you're not fucking dumb and jump it in there when you know that within 30 seconds
People are
going to
get caught. People 100% are gonna get caught. The dumb ones are gonna get caught.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
so
some
that makes
people
sense.
will, yeah.
totally kill males because of this. There'll be nobody that you know here.
There's gonna be
The
people
same
that
people
don't.
that get
Yeah,
caught
right.
Wait a
before
second. Hold
are gonna
on.
get caught
Wait
now.
for Dirk.
We've
to
done
like,
dumber
oh,
things
kill
than that.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there for that. I tried to learn how to use fighters in Tama for the first time, and you lost a jump freighter that night.
I took a jump freighter into high sec with a war deck alt.
And I lost
Oh
a Drake
my
to
God.
rockets. Ooh,
And I jumped a Thamian
but in
into
the
Tama.
in the grand scheme of things, look, does it provide an opportunity for when people sino in onto a fort or anything like that somebody else could immediately fucking jump in there? Absolutely it does. Okay, and it should fucking exist. In the
Only
grand
Titans
scheme
and
of
Supers.
things, this is not oppressive in any fucking way, right?
The massive change. What are you talking about?
You'll
He
just
said
have to be a little bit
oppressive.
more safe. That's
Oppressive.
pretty much it.
It's pretty oppressive. I mean, basically, for the past ever since Citadels have come out, you've been able to move supers through low sec with impunity, and now you're basically not able to do that.
For
I wouldn't
30
call that-
seconds.
30 seconds is all that needs to happen for a Hictor to warp in.
Well, it is all that needs to happen for Hictor to warp in. However, and there will be people out there that rush shit. There will be people like, oh my god, my wife needs me right now. I've got to fucking jump. But
Hello to Erica, just
Have
subscribe.
Before
fucking
Citadels came
patience.
out, Wrecking Crew basically
That's the guy that just
shut
donated
down
50.
three
Yeah.
low sec regions, and now they're you couldn't move through Iridia unless you knew what you were doing. They were catching supers every day, and now that's going to be happening again. So
well, some things should be caught.
yeah,
every
Jay,
day,
I
right?
can.
I mean, some of those people out there, they should be caught. We need to have that kind of thing, right? But what we've had since they launched Citadels is basically bounce, bounce, bounce.
There's been a need
Well,
in the
bounce
game
was
since
fatigue,
they brought
but-
in Citadels to allow you to kill dumb people. And the point is that this is a change bringing back where dumb people die, and that's what Eva's about.
Yeah, Citadel's made it
Yeah.
easy mode for even the dumbos.
100% there's gonna be people that log in the day of that change, don't read patch notes, and get killed because of
Yeah, because
So they're the same people. They're the same people who jump to these. Oh, I can tether on this Citadel. Of course, I'll jump to it. And then they jump to it and die, and realize, oh, maybe I couldn't.
Yeah,
If you
like,
have
the
somebody-
change
if you
is
have
actually
somebody
just
who didn't
affecting
know
the
that
same
they
people
were
that were already
changing-
dying.
If
What
you
I
have
think is
somebody who didn't know
interesting
that they were
is-
changing the fucking timers on their fucking Citadel to Saturdays
Oh
at
my
1800
God.
because they didn't
God.
fucking read, it's like, guess what? Shit happens.
Like,
Yeah,
hey
look how
guys,
it
read
made.
these notes, and then
I'm
nobody
interested
read
to
them.
see who's going to be the first person to lose a fleet to bombs because they're sitting there waiting for that 30-second tether.
Well, you can't because you can just
Well, what
dock. You won't
fleet?
lose a fleet to bomb. You'll just dock.
Well, no, a lot of people like to bridge in
This is
on
about-
extra houses.
Hold
you
on.
can
Yeah, but you'll
dock
still
them
Does
dock,
this
too,
actually
yeah.
work?
Yeah,
Does this
true.
actually work for subcaps as well?
Yeah, didn't you say it was just capitals?
Yeah.
So subcaps.
Yeah.
will
No,
still
no,
be
no, no,
unchanged.
no. I didn't. Well, maybe
It's
I did
jumping
say that,
into
but,
a
like,
it's
Sino.
jumping. So if you,
I just read their thing.
If you light a Sino on a Citadel and you bridge through a Titan, I would assume it'd have the same effect because that's the same as jumping with the.
Yeah, but if
I
you're
don't
like
know.
undocking on like a Fortizar and the Titan's there, you should be tethered.
You can dock immediately.
Yeah, you can jump
so
and
that
dock.
kind of doesn't matter.
But
right?
I think if you bridge through a Titan onto a Citadel, I think you would still, I would assume because it's the same bridging jumping mechanic that it would still give you the 30-second delay before tether.
Yeah, it does, but
So guys are just gonna dock now.
on an Astral,
But
so
you
it's
can
not a
dock.
big
You
deal.
can dock anywhere. You know,
I know you can still dock. I'm just saying, like you would have to dock if there was danger right out front.
It's
because
definitely
you have
more
that
of
30
a-
second
you
gap.
just have to call it out. Say you bridge through it. You're jumping onto a Citadel. You say dock
Yeah,
up.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
and
more of
then
a
undock.
danger to
It's gonna-
capitals than it is
like,
subcaps.
Progod's point is actually good though because it will depend on FCs. If FCs don't say dock if the bombs are
Right.
incoming, they'll be
Half
like,
the
oh,
fleet
warp
won't
out.
dock. Those
Right,
half the
right.
fleet
Half
will
the fleet
dock.
will die.
You could be screaming dock and half those guys would dock.
Well, you could be doing that. You could like tweet it out. You can put it on.
It's like when you're
You
like,
could-
okay,
you could
guys,
do an option
hold
thing
on
where
this
you
gate,
warp
and
in.
half your fleet goes through. Like, there's always those
If you had a
people.
brawl option too, I could warp in with my Onyx fleet, keep people from docking.
That's actually really kind of fucking cool.
Well,
That would be.
you
That
can't-
would
you
be
can't-
really
That
fucking
would
cool.
be a
so
You
good
bridge
thing.
your
It's
fleet
actually
onto a
not
fucking
possible.
fort and then bang, bang, bang.
It's not possible because literally you can't you can dock as soon as like it does it. So you
Yeah, I
can
know.
basically there's no
Yeah.
chance the Onyx would like even an Onyx on grid when you bridge in won't be able to stop you from docking.
Yeah, but where's my tether? I just wanted to sit out in space and look at the stars. Where's
dock
my
and
tether?
Yeah, it's not like
bang?
it's not like a jump bridge where you
Well,
build a
if-
jump
so-
bridge and
although-
you couldn't jump.
So
through
this
it.
isn't going to
If you're
affect
on-
like if you
now,
undock on a
one of the
Citadel,
things-
you're tethered. This is only for
Well, I
like
was gonna
jumping,
say,
right?
real quick, you can't dock in a Citadel if you're pointed, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but you
correct.
can, okay, so
Right.
You
So
gotta be
if
scrammed.
people jump,
Scram.
So
scram.
No,
only
it might
scrammed, I
just
thought
be
it was
point.
pointed.
It
I thought
might
it
just
was
be
just that
point.
they
Yeah,
had
it's
to
just
beat the-
point.
I know
warp the
scram
strength.
is 100% you can't dock.
Yeah, scram you definitely
It's-
can. I thought it was just if you were warp strength was beat by the scram or the point, then I don't know
Yeah,
what it
that's
is, but
true.
whether-
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so
look at it.
scramming,
I don't know,
but anyway, so if you jump and say you're just not paying attention, you're not fast enough, and you have that 3-second gap where you're like, oh, maybe I should start docking. Oh shit, I'm pointed. Then you're fucked. Or if you have a super potato computer that you've loaded grid, but your computer isn't showing you've loaded grid yet, so you're still targetable, but your computer's still thinking about what it wants to do. Like there might be some few stragglers here and there that get caught by that
well,
stuff.
I mean,
but that's
if
like
you have a
such
potato
small
computer,
percentage, though.
if you have a potato computer, set that Citadel as your autopilot destination, hit autopilot, and then bridge, and you'll automatically dock.
Damn, that's smart. I never thought about doing that.
Pro tips.
But number one rule is never
Holy
use
shit.
autopilot.
That's next level strats.
Well,
Well, apparently
not
there's a time that it
necessarily use
works.
autopilot though, right? I mean,
Well, autopilot will auto dock you. So if you
Yeah.
bridge, even if your computer hasn't loaded yet, you'll be docked in the game because
Yeah.
the
wait,
game.
what?
Yeah, because you'll
because
land right on
when you
docking
autopilot
range,
to a
and because your
destination,
computer
it will
hasn't caught
dock
up.
you automatically. And so when you jump,
Yeah, 'cause
even
it's
if your
not- it's
computer's
not
slow and
client-side,
it's not
yeah.
catching up, the game server sees that you've bridged, and the autopilot automatically docks you right as soon as it can. So like
Yeah.
you'll like
You'll pretty much be
if
docking
you're
once
still not
right when
loading
you
grid,
res.
when you finally do load
The
grid, you'll be in
autopilot generally waits for all of those other things that get in the
No,
way
it
of
doesn't.
allowing you
It's
to fucking
server
dock.
side. It's server
It's
side.
server's tick. It's a server tick.
Yeah,
It's
server
literally,
side.
it's literally
'cause-
as soon as like the only thing that matters is if you use the autopilot and land outside of docking range, then it's a problem. But if you're
Yeah,
inside
'cause
docking
the
range, you'll
commands
because
automatically
it'll
dock.
flow boat into
Yeah,
it.
the commands are already put to
Yeah.
the server, so the server's already queued them up. So if your computer hasn't even loaded grid yet, when it finally does load up whatever, you'll be in the station. That's fucking smart.
Why are you letting that out then?
Hey,
Drayden?
you just
I mean,
help-
like,
I didn't let it out. Sort did. I brought
that
up
was
the
going to
question.
be
You
like
can't-
one of the things that, like, everybody like out there like used to get around this for like
I had
12
the question.
minutes.
He had the answers. That's
You can't get
all that
around
happened.
it. Like, okay, so the thing is, no matter how many times I say this, there are still fucking idiots who are not going to do it correctly and still die.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I wonder if people are going to start
need
like
that
if they
though,
know.
Sort. We need to
Yeah,
have
no, that's
those
what I'm saying.
kill
We
This change
need
needed,
those
this
people.
change needed to happen.
I wonder if people are going to start having bombing fleets like if they know they're going to bridge to a station, they see that sign as soon as the sign lit, they launch bombs, and they're like, the vast majority of people are going to get in there, but those few stragglers that don't do it right.
Well,
are gonna get
technically,
caught by
it's
those
going to be up
bombs.
to the FC to launch bombs at the right time because they still have the 30-second flight time and a 30-second invol. You have to make sure that you launch them at
yeah.
like 15 seconds into the invol so they land when the person's not invol anymore.
Like, that'd be
right.
when that's too
Sort hits
complicated.
the-
I don't
like,
know if
right
people are going to do
before
that. then.
Sort hits the field, like you've got to like have launched your bombs.
Oh shit! Should we be giving away money, Dirt?
We probably should have been. Yeah, like
there's only,
we've done
36
two,
minutes
so
left,
we've
so-
got
Roll it,
we've
Drayden,
got
roll
we've got
it.
3 more. We've got 3. Yeah, 3 more. My math's
Drayden,
still
roll
right
it.
to get to 5, and then we've got
Roll it.
5 and 5. So you know what? Do 2 in a row. Just
That's
do
Pass
Hell
and go.
yeah.
Okay, Pascal Sivaritis.
Oh, Pascal was that wrong guy before, and now he's got 2 billion is.
And Shadows. Oh shit, Shadows.
Shadows.
Shadows is the guy that I have a friend that I play other games with whose name is Shadows, and when this guy's come in the channel before, and I was like, wait, is this you? And he's like, no, different Shadows. So that's really fun though.
We've got 35 minutes, Drayden. I need you to do this, okay?
Hold on, I
gotta
get these guys in, but go ahead and tell me.
Use of your position on the show. Okay, not think about what we're going to talk about regarding Sov warfare and fatigue changes, but only monitor when you need to click the giveaway money button.
Oh, I can do that, but I mean, I'll throw some shit in, but yeah, I'll get these two guys in.
And Rain can like chime in with kestrels, but
oh, low blow.
I mean, I really don't like.
By the way, I have a spirit skin for you, Rain.
Do you? What ship?
The kestrel.
Really?
Yes.
Anyway, just want to say 35 minutes.
Exactly. Because we are down right now into TikTok fucking time, and we've got to get into fucking Sov warfare. And I'm sorry. Actually, Sov warfare actually comes after this. Really, jump fatigue fucking changes.
No. Don't do jump fatigue. Do Sov warfare.
You want to do Sov first?
Literally, jump fatigue is going to take the rest of the show.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Sov and Entosis, they're going to allow remote assistance for sub-capital ships. If you're in a fucking capital ship, you're still not getting that. So please listen to us, okay, just for that one moment. Significantly reduce the max ranges of Entosis links from 20 kilometers down to 20 kilometers for Tech 1 and 50 to Tech 2. Significantly reduced fitting requirements for those modules. 100% sensor strength to any ship with an active cycling Entosis link.
Has this killed?
I'm in the kitchen.
Has this killed the bullshit of just warping around, fucking like trying to damp out all that kind of shit? Has this actually been able to say, you know what? Let these motherfuckers do their work.
I mean,
absolutely. I think it's a great change.
From the kind of fights that we've been having, and probably I don't know if it's going to make a huge amount of difference anyway. Like you're fighting raw cores and faxes and shit doing toasting.
Well, yeah, a capital superior group is gonna use is still gonna use capitals when they can.
So
but,
go ahead, Brigham.
But I mean, getting it away from the scepter and Test was able to deal with the scepter stuff, but that doesn't mean we thought it was good gameplay. Like it was bad gameplay just having the Fozzie claws and Entosis stuff.
What do you mean?
What you opening there, fella?
A new pack of cheese.
Are they
all right.
cheesy singles?
Are they cheesy singles?
No, it's very loud.
Extra sharp white cheddar, if you must know.
Are you just eating cheese? I feel like he's just eating it like an apple.
String cheese? Oh my god, are you eating string cheese?
No.
Back on target.
It says extra sharp white cheddar.
Back on target.
No, it's there's still just because PL uses faxes in Providence, that's just one situation. There's a lot of Entosis warfare, especially in a real war. The way that a defensively disadvantaged side is going to fight is they're going to put a Sinojammer up in every system. Like the Tribute War, when CO2 was defending against NC. and Tribute, I feel like that is the template for how to fight a capital superior group, is you got to have a Sinojammer up in every system, and then you got to defend iHubs. You don't want to be fighting over Citadels, you want to be fighting over iHubs on Entosis timers because you have such a massive defensive advantage there. And now, instead of having to deal with enemy Fozzie claws, they actually got to come in with subcap fleets and blow up your subcap fleets, and it's grid control, which is what the original intention of Entosis was supposed to be.
One thing we tried for a lot of CSMs is when Sov came out, it was the point of winning if you fought when defending an Entosis battle, you'd lost the fight. Because you'd win, maybe you win or lose the subcap fight, but you would lose the timer. So your whole point was don't take a fight. Don't take a fight, don't take a fight. Because all you want to do generally is you want to slow down the fleet and then do the nodes.
Yeah, it's the original goal of Entosis was to sort of be a king of the hill thing on each Entosis node, but it never worked out that way because of the way you just had to gank the Entosis ship. So this might open up a situation where a smart enemy,
I mean, a smart alliance will split their fleet up. Or they'll have a main fleet, but they'll also have little groups of 10, 15 subcaps running around controlling Entosis grids.
And not just that, right? Your Entosis ship can get reps. Your capitals can't. So fuck it. Drop some fucking caps that are going to sit there and rep your Entosis ship.
Yeah, it seems like the new meta is going to be a fax with a battleship around it, but that's okay. I mean, it's not much different.
You
If
can
the
still
fax
kill
is-
them.
Yeah, if the fax is there, it should be Entosising anyway.
More targets.
So, yeah, more targets.
Yeah. I've always, ever since Sub came out, I've always fought for the bonus on capitals to be Entosis effectiveness, not Entosis cycle time. So you basically, if you are using an Entosis link on a capital on a node, it's only 10% effective instead of like a cycle time difference.
Yeah,
that
on
way
a high
people would less be
ADM,
used
on a
to it.
high ADM system, that basically means like 6 hours per Entosis node, though.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd be able to do a node, but you would basically take 5 hours to do it in a carrier. So it'd
But-
encourage
Oh
more
my
people
God.
to use subcaps.
That
Oh,
sounds really
Did you just wake up,
unfun.
Jin? Did you just
Dude,
literally
that sounds
fucking wake the fuck
awful.
up?
No.
Yeah, but that's okay. So that's for
He's
a
been
capital,
on his
though.
pot noodles.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So it would make people use subcaps again. It would make people not use capitals on every node.
I
No, the
don't
only
know if you
reason
want
they
to
use
push it that
capitals
far,
is because
though.
probably didn't have Sino-jammers up, and because they don't have the ability to stop them
Well,
from bringing
yeah,
down
that's
their
also-
Sino-jammers.
Yeah. Probably is a different situation. I reckon that it's not literally every software ever because it was a bit of a mismatch, to put it, mildly.
One of the things that's interesting as well is using the sensor strength buff. I asked for this as well on the Entosis ships. Because
Yeah,
a lot of the
that's
times, instead of taking a fight, you would just literally jam the Entosis continuously.
Well, now that's nice and it helps, but now that you can rep Entosisers, you can actually have 10 people Entosising, and it's not a big deal.
Yep.
So that
because
should
if
help.
one of them shuts down, what happens?
That should help
Yeah.
alleviate the ECM problem as well.
The next one just fucking kicks in.
In
Well,
fact,
it was
it
also
might be
it was to
beneficial
deal
to
with.
have everyone Entosis just for a free plus 100% dissension stream.
It was also the fact of ECM bursts. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, that too. It should be interesting. I think it's a good change.
Knew we had
It'll
another.
shake out up a little bit.
Was that Kate?
The-
Is that from Kate?
So claws will still be a thing due to the alpha, but that's just a difference with the claw. That's not a difference with the
So
thing.
those 2 fucking donations later, just by the way.
Shots?
Now,
Yeah,
I do want to go
using
on.
enough claws to actually alpha a heavy tank ship, then that's 100, 150 people you have that are just in claws, not doing anything
Oh, yeah.
else.
It's the troll factor of Soul. It's not the real.
Shots. Wait, you guys
Yeah.
not doing shots? What the fuck?
Well, hold on.
I'm
ready.
doing shots. It's
Chill on
like
your
1
shots for a
o'clock in
second.
the
I do want to
afternoon.
bring up this next
Come on,
topic because I
Dirk.
want these 2 guys to kind of like bat it fucking back and
Shots.
forth, and maybe if Jen like is
Didn't we
still
do a
awake-
giveaway first though?
Well, Drayden had
I'm,
the
I'm,
fucking
I'm looking at the
thing
time.
of,
We have
like,
we
you
have
know-
one more 2 billion and then a 10 billion to give away. So
Okay, never mind. I'll shut up.
So
now.
like
Can I
at
have that 10
45.
billion?
yeah, I'll
Anyways.
do one. I'll do one in a little bit and then another one later.
So not only have they changed it for the fucking ships that are involved with actually, intosifying shit, but for the capture events themselves, the proposed changes are increase the score gained per node capture from 5% to 7%, reduce the number of Stody nodes from 5 to 4, and increase the random node spawn chance by about 14%. After the changes, completing an uncontested attack or defend event would require 6 nodes for defenders and 9 for attackers. These changes reduce the total number of nodes needed to complete an uncontested event, as well as concentrating the initial fighting somewhat.
I love that
Yeah,
change.
so-
This
the
is
problem
kind of
with-
good, yeah.
One of the reasons we brought this up on CSM was because I was one of the big advocates of this. It's because it's better to Entosis someone's system and then not show up. Because you can just make them Entosis for hours and hours and hours. And if you do it across 15 systems and you do it 3 times in a row, the morale of the defender is already shot. And then the attacker can form up whenever they want to, basically.
Well, it was just too many nodes too. Like the original spirit of Entosis, like we said, was to encourage some, multiple fights across the constellation with a King of the Hill style fight on each node. But it never worked out that way because 5 nodes would
Am I
initially
doing another
spawn.
one?
What?
No, that was the one.
Okay,
You
go
just
on.
did the one.
Go ahead.
5 nodes would initially spawn, and then you'd have more nodes coming in almost immediately, very soon before the initial nodes are even done. And before long, you've got more nodes than you've got even if you're splitting your fleet up into like 6, 7 different groups, you've got more nodes than you can deal with, and that's why the scepters are so popular.
Besides the fact that Scepters are good at killing Entosis nodes, there's always more nodes than you could ever split your fleet into. So you end up with just a bunch of random Entosis ships out there on nodes, completely undefended. Of course, Scepters are the best option to burn around and go kill them. Now, if you've got less nodes, like 4 nodes initially spawn, it's conceivable to split your fleet into 4 groups and actually defend each node properly. And if you get those nodes done quick enough before the other ones start spawning, then you can keep your fleet split relatively well. You don't have to worry about having so many undefended Entosis ships. I mean, on many of these big timers, you'd have 15, 20 nodes that are available, and there's no way you can defend your Entosis ships.
And not just that, but you're not going to split fleets to the point where they're no longer combat effective against what is rolling around out there, right?
Yeah, well, it's so quick for defenders. It only takes 6 minutes for a defender to finish a node. So, as an attacker, you have to at least be aware of what's going on in every node. So when there's 20 nodes out there, you have to make sure that there's no rapier sneaking onto a node and getting it done in 6 minutes while you're still doing this 35-minute node somewhere else. I mean, that's how CO2 held off NC Dot for so long. I mean, for a month, we sat there and did not engage, like Sword said. We purposefully did not engage NC Dot fleets. We ran from system to system, sneaking nodes in. You know, we'd get one done like every 10 minutes, but it took them so long.
Which was pretty much
Entosis
warfare since the day that they fucking initiated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just fundamentally EVE does not work very well when you're trying to force people to split their fleets up.
I think it can. I think you'll see a lot of. I think that's a. I don't think you're necessarily right there. Yeah, I mean, you can tweak all these things to a certain extent.
It hasn't worked. It has not worked. Fleets, as much as they have tried to avoid point of fucking contact in this game, it still always comes back to singular point of fucking contact.
A lot of this is going to come down to.
I have won important Entosis timers by splitting my fleet up when the enemy has not.
When you say important, do you mean important in the grand scheme of it was actually important, or like just to you on that day it was important?
As leaders, you pick a list of what systems are important and what are not. You are happy to cede certain iHubs, and certain iHubs you are willing to defend. The good thing is, as a defender, you know that list, the attacker does not.
Oh, yeah, in certain cases. But yes, important nodes. Like, I've been doing Entosis Warfare since it came out, Kirk. More than anyone, honestly.
More than anyone? Wow.
Yeah!
I disagree with that, but anyway. The difference is a lot of this will come down to geography now. Because if you can pick choke points, and you can hold people in choke points, a lot of people will have to... It'll be depending on where you take the fight and where you don't take the fight.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot, because when the geography comes into play, like Sword said, there's a lot of different constellations out there. You know, some have 6 systems, some have 10, some are in a nice little box, some are straight lines. It creates a lot of different terrains for different kinds of fights.
We have 23 fucking minutes left of this show. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about the stuff that has to do with Savwanding. We're moving on into fucking jump fatigue because they laid down some shit this fucking week. Go ahead, Drayden. You still have more fucking is to give away. Do it.
I'm doing it in a couple minutes.
No, it's at 45. Dirk, come on.
I'm doing it in the 2 minutes. I'm rolling the 5.
No, you know what? Just fucking roll it now while I'm still like fucking midway talking.
Okay, right? This is a good segue.
We are getting into fucking jump fatigue changes. This right here is the reason why I'm saying instead of them calling it fucking Fan Fest, this year it's Fozzie Fest. Because if that guy gets credit, if that guy gets discredit for fucking Fozzie Sav, he's the fucking voice behind.
Drayden, did you roll yet? What the fuck?
Yeah, Cortex.
Can I?
I'm getting a hold of him. Calm down.
Can I set the scene for this for a second?
Sure.
So
if the scene of this begins with. I began the discussion by saying they should reduce fucking like fatigue.
Oh my god.
You had to describe what everyone at the CMSM summit was wearing.
Okay, so this literally sets up that when we went to the summit, there's a lot of people that had a lot of ideas about fatigue. We had a session completely about fatigue, and I can tell you the room had about 20 people in it. And there was 8 CSMers and a lot of CCP. And it wasn't just devs. They had producers. They had the higher level people listening in. The point that came up is that no, there was arguments going back and forward about, and I'm not saying arguments yelling at people, the for and against. So people would come up with ideas, and there were legitimate reasons as to why not enact it. And then there were certain polarizing ideas, and there were certain reasons back and forward, both the CSM countering CCP and CCP countering the CSM. The problem was we got to the end of the session, and the reality was there was no obvious answer. And it was about a week and a half ago where Fozzie came in on Hip Chat. Jintan can attest to this. He came in and he gave us the ideas. And the point was that basically up until that point, we had still been hanging in the air from the summit because there was no agreeable factor. And so this came out of the blue to us, but it was a good change because it's a extreme change. I'm not talking about the actual, like the idea that they actually went away and came back with something is what I'm trying to set the scene for.
I will say that this isn't something that's started this last summit. Sort like we have been talking to them about this since the start of CSM 11. You know, this is 2 years.
We've been talking about them on CSM 10 as well, mate. Like it's not just like a CSM bubble.
I know.
Like honestly, literally, the day after fucking jump fatigue got mentioned to somebody out there, somebody was talking about fucking jump fatigue.
The thing, okay, so the point is that, and Jinken can say that, but I don't agree that it's about CSM or CSM 12 or anything like that. It is the fundamental way the company is right now. You can see it from the minutes, you can see it from the way they've now started talking to the players. It was a coming to the tree moment at the summit, where basically we said you have to start looking at iterating on older stuff. You can say whatever you did like beforehand on CSM 11, and congratulations, we did the same on CSM 10. But the reality is that this was the first time that CCP actually came to the table in a sense of wanting to talk more, in the sense of wanting to balance. And you can see this from all the iterations that they put out. And it was the whole summit as a whole. It wasn't just jump fatigue. It was the whole summit was about you need to go back and look at old things.
I think that's awesome. I mean, so you were on one of the CSMs I was on 4 years ago, and you know, it seemed like they had a lot of good discussion too. So it's nice to see that that's coming back. I think that I like that story a lot, man. That's pretty awesome. If you want to talk the specific changes, I'm sitting here with 4 hours of blue timer still from last Tuesday, so I forgot about it and jumped again.
Because you're
earlier
a fucking
today.
liberal, you don't have conservative fucking preferences in your mind. Okay?
No,
Sometimes
I'm
you gotta
not a
conserve
liberal.
some shit.
I don't know if you know me, but I'm not a liberal.
Can I ask that if you want to get through this in the next 18 minutes, we try and keep like the trolling a little bit leveled down?
Yeah.
All right, so whoa, hold on. So let me give some fucking background details on this, right? They are nerfing jump fatigue. For anybody out there who's fucking wondering, they are nerfing fucking jump fatigue back to like almost where, not really entirely fucking existent. So the cap on jump fatigue, the blue timer, which I swear to God, I wish they would just get fucking rid of to get rid of the fucking math and like what's in people's fucking minds, because it like kind of doesn't matter anymore, except for the fact. Oh wait, hold on. Let me just get through kind of the fucking background, right? Right, is reduced from its current 4 days to 5 hours. Jump activation cooldown, the orange timer, when you can actually jump the next time, which happens to be 1/10 of the previous blue timer effect, okay, effectively caps new jump activation cooldowns to 30 minutes. So the most you will ever have to wait between jumps, 30 motherfucking minutes. So as an example, a max length carrier jump using the fastest succession possible is 7 minutes for the first fucking jump, 7 minutes again, and then every subsequent jump after that, 30 minutes. And even believe me,
it just jumps from 7 right to 30?
The first fucking jump, you don't have to wait 7 minutes for.
Can I clarify?
You can literally jump that at first.
Wait, it doesn't jump from 7 to 30.
I'd like to clarify something. So I was a massive push of the cooldown timer. I always have been. I took it to the summit, and I'm thinking they're actually going to release some of the stuff that's come up. I'm not sure. But there were really good arguments why they couldn't do that, and other CSM members as well. And me as an advocate of the cooldown timer, I agreed with them. So I'm going to say that like
what the blue or the orange? You mean
the blue timer,
I like the
because
blue as
I
well,
wanted
yeah.
I wanted the blue gone. But it's not like they had perfectly good reasons, and so did other CSM members.
I mean, it
I
caused
like
it to.
What were the perfectly good reasons? The perfectly good reasons can't be fucking NDA, right? Hold on.
Yeah, they're NDA.
The poor motherfucker that wants to jump from here to there, one fucking jump, doesn't need to wait 30 minutes or 27 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever.
Like that's the point of the blue timer is that it slowly ramps up. But the thing is, now instead of it ramping up from a few minutes to your next jump up to like, possibly days or like a bunch of stuff that used to be, it's going to ramp up from a few minutes to tops 30 minutes. So it's like it's going to incrementally go up from there. So it still adds this incrementally increasing gap between when you can jump, but it doesn't get to ridiculous fucking.
I'm not quite sure
levels,
it actually incrementally creeps up or whatever. Fucking 730, fine.
Okay,
done.
so they're only if you immediately jump. They're only if you immediately jump afterwards. That's why the blue timer is there. The blue timer is if you say go 7 minutes, then 7 minutes, but you wait for your blue timer to come down a little bit. It won't be 30 minutes for the third jump. It could be 26 minutes.
15, 20, yeah.
It could be something like that. That's the reason why the blues. It's not a straight 7 minute, 7 minute.
Yeah, there's still
it's only 7 minutes if you jump immediately.
Or no, but there's a calculation.
The blue timer has always, like, they shouldn't even call it the fucking blue timer. It's the psychological timer. It's fucking timer that
it has an effect.
Fucking rid of. It's psychological, like cloaky campers are.
It's not a psychological.
Talk, Progon. Just talk.
Hey, can we talk about the fucking caps then? I mean, shit.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I know we've had a big conversation about this sort. I think I'm all in favor for the caps. I really am. I know I was freaking out a little bit the other day, just because it's such a drastic reduction. Like I'm sitting here right now with 4 days of blue timer, and I had a 5-hour orange timer earlier, just because I fought, and jumped a lot of caps into Tuesday. But I was around and running an alliance that didn't have as many capitals as my enemy for a while before they introduced Phoebe, and I can remember the reasons that we brought in jump fatigue. And I don't think we need to get rid of it, and I don't think you do either. And I think we need to consider some of the different cap levels. I think 5 hours on blue and 30 minutes on orange is a little too much, and I think 1 day on blue and 1 hour on orange is more reasonable.
So the issue is that a lot of these changes, people think that the boogeyman is going to come. The point is that a lot of the boogeymans that people are afraid of right now actually have their own assets in different locations.
I actually don't think it's the long range force projection that's the problem. It's
people are worried about the short range. Like, people are worried about that someone can deploy next door and still be on you quite quickly. The problem is, I think that it's something that should be allowed, because one of the problems you have is the oppressiveness of, you can't even catch up to your fleet these days. Like, you can't, if you say come 10 minutes late to a fleet and you had to double jump, like most people do, you could end up having so much fatigue by the end of the fleet that you end up being, like you said, like unable to jump again for 3 days. Whereas with this particular change, no matter what, when you log off at the end of the night, you will be fine the next day.
And I'm totally fine with that. But now, when you log off after a fleet, you'll be fine in 5 hours. I mean, that's a big freaking change. That means no matter what I do in the EUTZ, because right now, super fleets are extremely difficult to fight if you don't have as many supers as your enemy. And people have this idea, and I saw the chat all the time, like, oh, this might cause more super fights to happen. Nothing will cause more super fights to happen. Super fights are just not going to magically start happening more. Super fights, you don't get to have super fights every day. If you lose a fight, and you lose your super fleet, you don't get to have another super fight for months.
It's not about that.
No, Dirt, it is about that.
It's about, I literally wake up the next motherfucking day, the day in real fucking world, okay? You know what? I'm sorry. It's time to fucking go.
No, I have nothing against that. That's why I'm advocating for a 24-hour blue timer. But when you have a 5-hour cap on the blue timer, that means every single fight is going to have supers and titans involved in it, no matter what. There's nothing you can do locally as an entity working there in a region to try and spread your enemy out, to try and hit multiple timers at a time and trying to accumulate some fatigue, which you can do now.
So
Skill yourselves had a lot of success with it. We've had a lot of success with it. There's ways you could do that. Now, it's just not going to be there
so the one thing I want to say to that is the perfect example is what you brought up 20 minutes ago with regards to Entosis. The defender, for example, can use jammers. The defender can use the operational geography of the area, whereas the attacker doesn't have that bonus. They have the ability to get to the fight. And Dirk, what ProGod is trying to talk about is fights don't automatically happen on Supercap fights. Every Supercap fight for the last 10 years has happened off a mistake.
But
and you can literally have the Supercap fleets.
It shouldn't come down to this game is all about fucking Supercaps.
Well, okay, when he says Supercaps, he also means capitals as well. Like the proliferation of the capital meta in this game. When Phoebe was first introduced, there was a massive difference between people like Goonswarm and people like GOTG, or people like PL and Test. Test did not have a huge amount of supercaps and capitals. These days, if PL on their own brought their supercap fleet against Test, Test has a decent supercap fleet themselves. During the oppressive time of Fatigue, a lot of the different groups have caught up. Some haven't, like Providence is a perfect example. They honestly believed that they were like safe forever in Providence, and so they didn't like build capitals. But like, look at Goons, for
not
example.
quite all of us, but yeah.
You are not going to have.
Can I finish my point, please?
I want to address Dunk from fucking Brave, which a few years ago had like 15,000 motherfucking members. Okay, look, it puts the game back where it was pre-Fatigue. It was crappy then. I am motherfucking sorry. Jump Fatigue was a good short-term fix before they made another bunch of motherfucking adjustments over the course of the next 3 years that changed this game. It was a short-term fix.
Okay. Before we waste our next 9 minutes on it, the point is this change, it does have it is less oppressive in the local, but it still aggresses the Phoebe changes that aggressed cross-map travel. Because that is the difference. The problem with Phoebe was nothing to do with what you're talking about. The problem with Phoebe was that I get into a capital fight, 9 minutes later, another super capital fleet turns up from fucking Pure Blind. That is what is dealt with here.
That was one of the problems, Sword. The other problem was that I could address a timer, with carriers, jump in, jump back out, 10 minutes later, go to another timer with carriers, jump in, jump back out, 10 minutes later, go to another timer with carriers, jump in, jump back out. And if the enemy couldn't deal with my carriers, which back then it was slow cats, and we've gotten rid of slow cats.
Back then was also fewer carriers, fucking fewer dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts didn't actually fucking matter. Fewer fucking supers and fewer fucking titans. And over the course of fucking time, we have proliferated all of this shit.
I hate to call bullshit, but everything you literally just said was absolutely wrong.
What are you fucking Aerith? You can't tell me I'm wrong.
Literally the same fucking everything you said in that was wrong. There was still the same amount of Titans. There was still the same amount of supers, because the point is they all went inactive. Like, that's the point. There were huge supercap fleets. There were huge Titan fleets. I defended fucking Tribute back in 2012 with 70 Titans
Trade
on
and
grid.
roll.
Yeah, that's the point of it. And this is when you say, oh no, there wasn't as much. Yeah, there was. We literally have led them for that many years. The people is they went AFK because of Phoebe. They went AFK because of the jump.
I don't know, man. I've never seen 500 Titans
fucking strongest won the 10 bill.
Nice.
Who got the 5 and 5?
Cap strongest.
Who got it?
Cap strongest won it.
Fucking Cap.
Let's do some shots.
Yeah, well, now, real quick, what I was gonna say about the jump thing is like, I agree with the fact
what actually fucking made me laugh right there? Fuck it, I'll fucking deal with it right now. You know what? The judge saying I don't play in this meta. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You don't play in shit. So back your fucking badge up against the whatever Sandy fucking dick is grinding it.
So the difference is.
Sorry. I just want to say this real quick, and then we'll let you. Or actually,
back to the
you go. You've
actual
been getting cut
details.
off all night. Go ahead and go. You go.
The point I'm trying to make, guys, is that there was a big problem where on Friday night you would get into a fight, and say you had to go 2 mids. I mean, the perfect example is ProGod's fight against the Chinese this week or something. The oppressiveness of you would get into a fight that required 3 jumps on a Friday night, and you would literally have to log out until Monday. And the point is that you can now get into a fight in the EU time zone on a Friday. You can then, if you're an all-nighter, you can fight again on the US time zone on a Friday. And then you can fucking go to sleep, and by the time you wake up in the morning, you can fight again. And so the point is that this is localized content and localized helpfulness. Will it possibly need to be iterated on because it is extreme? Yes. And one of the things that I said to a lot of people is the game needed something extreme.
I absolutely agree. It needed a cap. It needed a cap. But a 5-hour, 30-minute cap on those two timers is going to drive a majority of the fights to be capital-based. And I've had this argument with a lot of people, and I feel like we've learned by experience now. Capital warfare is not very nuanced. It's very simple to make the judgment on whether you can or cannot win a capital fight. And
so with subcaps back in the day.
No.
One thing I will add,
if I've got more logic than you, I don't fucking like not come out of my fucking station.
So one thing I'll add on that, and ProGod is absolutely right. It will be more capital fights. It won't be as many super capital fights. Because people would still have to move their supers. People these days are more willing to throw away dread fleets, like back in Geminate, back in 2009. Like people were back then throwing away 400-man dread fleets and then doing it every weekend. This is what the game needs. It needs more is going out of the game.
They're not going to have more capital fights, Sword. They're not. People do not suicide capitals just to have a fight. They do occasionally.
They call them suicide dreads.
I was in a fight last week, and it was suicide dreads.
I'm going to disagree on half of this because I think fleets will always escalate, and you're going to escalate all the way up. Now you have that proliferation of all the supers. It's going to escalate. I'm going to disagree.
This
on half
entire
of this.
game has been built around fucking escalation.
Okay, so the thing is, I want people to understand, it can't escalate into supers if the supers aren't staged nearby. Because the one thing Phoebe brought is we know how to slow down fleets now. If someone is going to move their supercat fleet from one side of the game to the other, you're going to have to take gates. And because of that, because of Phoebe and people knowing that, they will block people. They will slow people down. And so unless you're willing to move your supercat fleet to within what is possibly one region away or one midpoint region, like, you're not going to be able to do it. Because otherwise you cannot cross the map anymore.
That's not the problem, though. I mean, like...
This is my fucking 10-year anniversary. When... Did you guys stop playing at a time when we fucking bubbled subcapitals like for 30 fucking jumps across this fucking universe? Like, when did you guys fucking get into this shit? Like pre fucking super capitals or even capitals being like a fucking big deal?
Dark, I've been playing longer than you, man.
So then why are you allowing that kind of mentality about what can fucking get across a fucking universe?
I don't even know what you're saying, honestly. I really don't. Like, what are you saying?
Real quick with the change thing, like I see it as it. I mean, I don't know. It might take tweaking, but the thing is, like, what it's going to allow is quick deployment of capitals. So instead of, because right now when you're deploying capitals across the map, it's like this whole massive entire week-long endeavor of people like, okay, there's the people that. They jump, build a bunch of stuff, and then they wait, and then jump, and then they get there. Or they jump, they wait an hour, jump, wait an hour, and they do the whole thing. And they spend like 2 or 3 days, or like a full day if they're like, glued to the keyboard, just constantly jumping as soon as their fatigue gets lower. Now you can jump, and constantly jump and get across there, but...
You can't, though. You can't constantly
well, you can,
jump.
But it takes a while.
Okay, so
you
can get it done in like a 6-hour sitting if you're willing to do it in 6 hours.
Right,
that's like
so
a minute. I don't think that's a big deal. Like, that's a small part of what this is going to change.
Well,
the massive part of this change is that every fight's going to have... You're going to have a lot more capitals and a lot more fights. And a lot of FCs can very easily look, I have 30 carriers and 50 dreads. He has 50 carriers and 80 dreads. I can't win this fight. I'm going to stand down.
But the thing is, a lot of these fights that there's these timer-based things, capitals are already positioned for it, so they're going to be there anyway. It's just they took a lot more meticulous planning to get them there, and now they can just get them there without the hassle.
So the perfect example of that is that you can say it's going to happen, but in reality it doesn't. Everybody in this game, aside from like even Snuff, for example, or Skill Yourself is probably the only entity in the game that doesn't have anything to lose should they move. Should they move? Like, that's the thing, right? You're not going to have these instant moves, sure, but the reality is they're not going to move their super capital fleet because in reality, if they do that, someone's going to come for their home.
Right.
So the point is
that
the capitals will move because people have spare capitals due to raw calls and different things. But this whole like fear of the super capital menace moving is not going to happen, and that's what needed to stay in place. Well, it needed to be in place that doesn't happen.
And that's what I was saying, is that the fact that if, say, some random big fight breaks out, it's not like in the old days where it's like, oh, well, let's just move our caps down there, and in 10 minutes our whole, super cap or Titan fleet or whatever we're going to go dunk on this thing is in there. Now it's like, well, it's going to take 3 to 5 hours to get to that spot possibly. So it's like, and by that time, like, even in heavy tie-dye, 3 to 5 hours, a fight can change to the point where, like, okay, it's not worth jumping these supers in anymore.
So it's like for BTACR, for example, Razor came from Branch. Like,
right.
If a fight is going to happen.
Yeah, but like now people actually position their super caps in reasonable spots so they don't have to do mad chains because it's not worth it anymore.
Well
that's
right,
a small part of this fucking change. Why are we talking about that?
There's always going to be those massive examples like that.
Because we got 1 minute left, and also Dirk was really mad.
The last thing I want to say is the one thing that this does address is the problem that has come up with a lot of people logging off again after their alliances move. Their alliances move and they want to catch up, but the way that Fatigue was, they would literally log in and go, it's going to take me 5 days to move. I'm not going to fucking log in. And they would leave the game. And so these changes that are coming are going to bring a lot of people back to the game. Will it be consistent? Will it have retention? Nobody knows yet. But this is a needed change to bring people back subbing.
I am fearful of the people who come back thinking that fatigue is the reason they should come back, and they jump to something, and 30 seconds later, fucking, like, somebody out there fucking, points them and, like, keeps them from docking or kills them. Anyways, the fatigue change was absolutely fucking necessary. Everybody believes that. There is literally nobody out there who doesn't believe that the fucking fatigue change was necessary. Are we correct in that?
Oh, no,
I agree.
Yeah,
not my use of words like literally, because there is always that guy.
I mean,
no,
I don't give a shit about fatigue, but I can definitely say that people that I talked to absolutely hated it.
The fatigue limits they had before were
I think the only person that liked it was Boat. Boat loved
The
it.
reality is, we'll find out if we go back to 2014. We'll find out whether or not we, like, all of a sudden have, like, fucking hot dropping of super capital fleets on fucking battleships and whatnot. That will be self-evident in the fucking data.
The reality is that these people it's going to be interesting in a sense of wanting people to come back, and they're not really changing the game, they're just turning the dials. They didn't change fatigue, they just turned it down. So it's the same
they turned it
mechanics.
to a level that's a lot more
learning.
acceptable.
Yeah, you're just learning.
They turned it down a whole lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, we may know in like 6 weeks' time, like after FanFest, we may find out that it was a too big a change. And the point is,
I don't know. Once you give all these people a fucking handout like that, it's gonna be really hard to get them to turn back the dial.
It depends. Like, honestly, it depends, because it depends on what it creates in the meta. If the meta changes to a point that it starts being oppressive in the other level, then there is merit for changing it. Do I think it will need it? No, I don't think it at all.
I still think you need an hour orange and 24-hour blue. But we can talk about it later in a better setting.
Sure.
Damn, that was fucking kind of cold, man. You just totally fucking dicked us on that last comment.
I'm pretty sure Pro God and Sort have like some other channel they communicate in and debate in.
I mean, the whole idea is, like, obviously there are always better fucking places to talk about this shit, okay? But, like, over the course of fucking time, I'm sorry, like, it has come down to the fact that this shit, it mattered at a time when they fucking put it in. And, like, yes, there will always be scaredy cats and fucking Eve about what boogeyman might come across the fucking universe at you, or whether or not you can reinforce a fucking BTACR. But honestly, is that where we are in Eve right now? Our bigger problem is not fucking jump fatigue. It's it's the fucking problem that we've got way too many fucking capitals and super capitals out there. But that's all gone by the wayside.
You can't fix that.
They are literally the fucking battleships of Eve at this
point. I want to say that, again, you're wrong. The problem is that the game, like, it's not, you can have all the super capitals. The problem is the game can't handle them coming against each other. Like, there is a want. Like, 9-4 is a perfect example. There is a want.
I am wrong, but
can
I'm
I
not
finish,
wrong.
please?
I mean, all these big things. It's like,
Dirk,
whatever you want to call it.
Go on.
The point is that there is a want for this fight. There is a want to lose super capitals. There is a want to lose capitals. But if the game can't handle it, those people will stagnate, and we will stay in the Cold War that we are in for the foreseeable future.
You're talking about those Keepstar fights where you literally can't shoot it because
it wouldn't even. Okay,
crashes.
so the Keepstar is one of the only fights in the last 5 years where actually people were planning to bring super caps. Most of the times, BTACR, for example, happened off a mistake. A lot of the super cap fights that happen off mistakes, they couldn't have them now because the game would literally crash.
Even stuff like SH1?
SH1 was just like, that was just stupid. Everything about SH1 was stupid. Okay. And it wasn't a mistake. It was like CO2 coming in and going, Test, are you coming with us? And Test going, why did you jump in?
Yeah, that was pretty frustrating.
So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming by tonight. Honestly, the more conversation that we can have about these things, the better. I wish we had more fucking viewpoints from around the way and all that kind of shit, but like, you know, it's really hard to fucking get. I do want to direct everybody's attention to fucking Sunday on Talking in Stations, where we have sober people as well as pretty much the vast majority of the people that fucking matter on team security to talk about botting and real money trading and account hacking and things like that. So like, if you like are a Redditor, your dick should get totally fucking hard by the fact that we're going to talk about things that like I talked about on Reddit and whatnot.
By people who matter, he means CCP Peligro, CCP Grimmy, and CCP Guard.
Yo, chat here. If anyone's online for that, please make sure to ask CCP Peligro why I was banned.
Yes, we will totally fucking ask that. No,
you got banned?
Yeah, I was banned. Come on, Jin.
I do want to throw that out there about fucking Sunday. We've actually got to look. I'm actually fucking approaching fucking Sunday like it's a fucking Senate hearing. I am gonna make these people stand up and take a fucking oath when they come into the fucking come into the fucking room. Be like, thank you, Mr. Pellegro, for your opinion. However, let me talk for 30 minutes. No, that's actually not fucking true. But we are going to talk about the thing that has apparently gotten people all fucking up in rage that doesn't actually have to do with this fucking gimmick ship. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening tonight. Anybody want to give some fucking shout outs? Everybody has fucking free reign right now to give fucking 5 minutes of shout outs.
Here soon in the next 2 weeks, we're going to kind of give an insight into the Blue Donut. We're actually going to run it'll probably be hosted by Killer actually. We'll do a FC roundtable of the biggest 0.0 content creators in one room. It'll probably be in the next 2 weeks on one of the Saturdays. Just a shout out for that. No, we're not hosting on an INN.
Hey, Looney with the $20.
Is it gonna be a live broadcast?
For the donation.
Yeah, it'll be live. It'll be live.
Do you have a link for that? I can put it in chat. People can
Shots.
bookmark it if they want.
I don't know yet. I have to talk to Killer about the specifics, so he has to make sure it's set up for it. But we'll have people like Jay, myself, or Jay if he says yes, ProGod probably, myself, Killer, maybe some other people from Test and Goons if they're allowed to come.
We have Canadian, shout out from Victoria, BC. Anyone else with shout outs?
I'm going to give a shout out to all the people that donated tonight. Holy shit, we got fucking showered with money.
Yeah, it was what, like $145, something like that?
Something like that. And then also as well, I mean, yeah, thanks ProGod and Sort for coming on tonight, and Jin, you as well. So I mean,
don't forget the subs and resubs.
Anyways, I count that as donations of money.
All of you for fucking listening. We are totally trying to like make open comms less drunk, more fucking like reputable. Because you know what? I am just not going to allow that fucking Matterall to take command of what people think should be heard in the world. However, Sunday on Matterall's show, we are going to have team security. So whatever.
Is that later bitches?
A slam and
later bitches.
Good thing in the same sentence.
Thank you. Later bitches.